Hello everyone, Jai Hind and welcome to the platform of StudyIQ IAS in English. My name is Bhavar Singh Suri and I welcome you on the platform. And I believe that the question after giving the today's complete the prelims examination, you must have come to the realization that UPSC is a tough job. But at the same time, we at StudyIQ IAS, we are there to guide you throughout your preparation, whether it is your prelims, your mains, and even for your interview as well. So if you are live, please type in the message and let me know that you're watching this session live, and we'll be discussing. First, we'll be discussing the questions subject-wise. First, I'll be taking the environment section and even the geography as well, and then we'll be moving ahead and we'll be discussing all the questions, one by one, topic-wise, which all questions they came in the examination. All right, so I welcome you on the platform. Let's start off with the first question. That is question number 21. This is set A that I am discussing right now. All right, the question paper that we are discussing is set A, and the question may be different in your set, so you can just align it. This is the first question of the environment. That is question number 21 in set A. And this is about consider following statements with reference to India's response to climate change. India's long-term low emission development strategy, that is LT LEDS. Good afternoon, Meher. All right, LT LEDS is a crucial tool for achieving net zero emission by 2070. Second statement was India's fourth biennial update report, or BUR4, submitted in December 2024, recorded around 8% decrease in greenhouse gas emission in 2020 over 2019. वो कल स्टेट ऑफ हॉर्मोस क्वेश्चन जो था उसमें वो ऑप्शन 3 आपके कितने ऑलराइट I'm getting 120. Will I get selected? We'll talk about this later. All right. Right now, let's discuss about the right answer that should be there, and let's discuss the complete paper. And later on, we'll do a complete analysis that what would be the cutoff and everything that will be discussed later on. All right. We will be analyzing everything, every aspect. When it comes to the cutoff, it is about the difficulty as well as the number of the aspirants who have given the examination. So we'll be analyzing it in that viewpoint, and then we'll be talking about that as well. All right. Now over here, the second statement and then the third statement was the climate resilient development necessarily depends on the quick and short-term achievement of the emission reduction targets. Now when it comes to all the three statements, all three statements are true over here. All right. When it comes to the first statement, yes, it is right that when it comes to the long-term low emission development strategy, or LT LEDS, it is a crucial tool for achieving the net zero emissions by 2070. All right. At the same time, when it comes to the second statement, that is also true. That is that there were the reduction or 8% decrease, a nominal decrease was seen in 2020 over 2019, and that was majorly because of COVID-19. All right. Because of the COVID-19, this was seen. Then when it comes to the third statement, that is climate resilient development necessarily depends on the quick and short-term achievement of the emission reduction targets. Now somewhere when it comes to this statement 3, it contradicts the approach that is implicit in the first one. All right, you can see that it somewhere contradicts the first statement, and that is why statement 3, it is contradicting the statement 1, and over here, what will be the right answer? Over here, the right answer will be the first one is statement 1 is empirically supported by the statement 2. That is right. All right. And then we have statement 3 that contradicts the approach implicit in the statement 2. That is also right. When it comes to the third, that is statement 1 and statement 3 together establish the premise of long-term sustainability. It is incorrect. So we have 1 and 2. That is B will be the right answer for the question number 21 that is there. All right, now coming to the next question that is there in your set A. All right, I'm telling you that we are discussing set A over here, and this is question number 22 of set A, and this is that with respect to the Western Hullock gibbons, which of the following statement is correct? Now, if you remember, I have when I was discussing the species in news, all right, you know that we have discussed about species in news on the YouTube. So when I was discussing species in news, I told you that Hullock gibbons is one of the species that may be asked in the upcoming prelims examination. Now over here it says that which of the statement are correct. The first statement over here is that we have a sanctuary in the Northeast India is home to this ape species listed as endangered in the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN Red List. Second, they have specialized branchiation and can easily swing between the trees. Third, they possess a strong and heavy build like gorillas, yet are remarkably agile tree climbers. Now, when it comes to the statement 1, so there is a sanctuary that is located in Jorhat, Assam. All right, there is a sanctuary that is there in Jorhat in Assam that is dedicated to Hulok gibbon or Western Hulok gibbon. So, of course, the first statement over here is true. First is true, then comes the second one. Second one is also true. That is, they have specialized branchiation and they can easily swing between the trees as well. But when it comes to the third statement is incorrect. All right, the third statement is incorrect when it comes to these gibbons. All right, basically these gibbons, they are unlike the primates. They are unlike the gorillas, and they are characterized by their lightweight, as well as along with this they have slender skeletal structure as well, and that is why third statement over here is incorrect. We have only two statements which are correct. So of course over here again the answer for question number 22, it will be B. The B will be the correct answer. All right, now coming to the next question that we have over here, it is about the mangroves. All right, which of the following best explains the rationale for protecting mangroves ecosystems in the context of climate resilience? All right, so over here again we have some of the questions, some of the statements which are there. The first statement is mangroves reduce tidal energy and store fresh water, making them the ideal sites for paddy cultivation in saline estuarine belt. All right, so first statement over here is it correct? The first statement is over here, it is not correct. All right, when it comes to the mangroves, they are highly adapted to the saline atmosphere. All right, and ultimately they do not store the fresh water. All right, so of course when it comes to the first statement, it is incorrect here. Then second statement is their salt sensitive roots filter seawater, making mangroves key to converting coastal land into freshwater aquaculture zone. This is also incorrect. All right, both the statements first and second, they are incorrect. Now we have the third statement that is here, that is by withstanding tidal surges and offering biomass resources, mangroves functions both as natural bioshields and the livelihood basis for rural communities. So the third statement is correct here. So we have only one statement which is correct, and that is why the answer here will be 3 only. That will be the correct answer. All right. Now coming to the next question that we have related to the environment, we have question number 27 in set A, and question number 27 is basically it is about the falcon migration. All right, over here it says that which of the following statements with regard to the arrival of Amur falcons at Doyang Lake in Nagaland each year from Mongolia is correct. The first one is over here, it showcases how sustained local conservation efforts can contribute to the arrival and protection of the international migratory birds. Of course, the first statement over here is true. All right, so first statement is right. Then second is, it reflects the global success of advanced tracking technologies that guide migratory birds back to their stopover sites. So second statement is incorrect. When it comes to the advanced tracking technologies, like for example, satellite telemetry, so they are used by the researchers to monitor the migratory route and not to guide them. All right, so therefore, the second statement over here is incorrect. And then it confirms that Amur falcons have adapted to permanent residency in India due to favorable habitat changes. So this is also incorrect. All right, they just utilize North India or Northeast India solely for the very brief staging and for the roosting site. That is all. All right, so this is again incorrect that we have statement 2 and 3 which are correct. We have only one statement which is correct related to Amur falcon, and that is why answer here will be A. That is one only. All right, now coming to the next question that we have, it is which of the following are the most significant implications of obtaining OECO-TEX certification for ERI silk in the global textile industry? Now this is again very important question when it comes to this question, and it is about the textile standardization and ERI silk exports as well. Now when it comes to the statements which are here, it is first statement is it allows Indian exporters to compete in high-end markets that prioritize chemical-free products. Second, it confirms that ERI silk meet international safety, environmental and quality standards, enabling its entry into premium eco-conscious markets. So over here the right answer will be that we have two of the statements, and both of them they are true related to the OECO-TEX certification. because this allows the Indian exporters to compete in high-end markets that prioritizes the chemical-free products and also confirms ED Silk meets the international safety, environmental and the quality standards as well. So again, both the statements are true. Here we have the answer, that is C, both 1 and 2. Now coming to the next question that we have, it is question number 32, which relates to your environment. And again over here, let's see what it is. It is about the Madhav National Park. So we have the statements. It was declared a tiger reserve in 2025. So first statement over here is right. Madhav National Park, it was declared as the tiger reserve in 2025. Yes, it is right. All right. At the same time, we have the second statement as well. The second statement is that Sakhya Sagar, which is designed as a Ramsar site, is situated within this national park. And when it comes to the second statement here, this is also true. It is a shallow lake which is located or which is situated within the Madhav National Park that is there. And then its area is shared between Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. This is incorrect, because when it comes to the national park, Madhav National Park is basically solely in the Madhya Pradesh. It does not share any border with Rajasthan. It is in Shivpuri district of Madhya Pradesh. So this is incorrect, and we have two of the statement, that is 1 and 2, which are correct, and the answer is B. Answer will be B for this question. All right, now coming to the next question, that is question number 36, that relates to your environment and biogeography. So over here we have another statement that is there, and we have the question number 36. Let me tell you once again that these questions that we are discussing are from set A. The question is, consider the following statements about Rhynchostosis retusa or foxtail orchid. First statement is it is epiphytic orchid. Then second is the species is endemic to Northeast India. Third, it is the state flower of Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. Now when it comes to the first statement, that is true, that this is the epiphytic orchid that is there. When it comes to the second one, it is species that are endemic to the Northeast India. That is incorrect. Yes, it is common in Northeast India, but at the same time it is not endemic. It is distributed along the Western Ghats as well, along with Himalayas, in Sri Lanka and even in the Southeast Asia. So it is not endemic to Northeast, but it is common in Northeast. And when it comes to the statement 3, that is correct over here, that when it comes to the foxtail orchid, it is the state flower of Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. So over here we have 1 and 3, that is B is the right answer to this question. All right. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 38. Again, it is related to the environment, and over here you can find that the question is, here is at the United Nations Ocean Conference, that is UNOC, held in June 2025 in France, the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO of the United Nations demonstrated its leading voice on marine and ocean issues, especially on sustainable fisheries and the aquaculture for resilient livelihood and blue transformation. Which of the following combination about the 4 betters proposed by FAO for the blue transformation is correct? So over here the right answer will be B, that is better production, better nutrition, better environment and better life. So this is the correct one, that is B is the right answer here. All right, now coming to the next or the last question that was related to the environment. It is about Vivo certification, and which of the following is the first plan Vivo certified reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation, or that is RED Plus project in India. And we have different projects, that is we have Uttarakhand RED Plus project, ICRE ICO MOD Transboundary RED Plus project in Northeast Himalayas, Khasi Hills Community RED Plus project, and Sikkim Mamle Kamrang Community RED Plus project. So over here the first of it has asked about first plan Vivo certified RED Plus project. So it is the project in Khasi Hills Community. That is the first planned Vivo certified RED Plus project in India. So the right answer here will be C. That is all. These are all the questions that were asked related to the environment. Now comment down in the chat box and let me know that how many of these you have you have scored right. All right, then we will discuss the geography question as well, the questions which are related to the geography. That is also what we will be discussing. Let me get the PDF, the PPT that is there. All right. So just give me a moment and just give me just give me 2 minutes so that I can open the PPT or the PowerPoint for the geography questions that were asked. All right. So tell me how many of the questions you have attempted are correct till now. All right, just a second. All right, so these are the questions that were asked from the geography as well, and let's see the question number. The first question that was there, it was question number 25 in set A. Again, let me tell you that what we are discussing is the set A right now, and this is question number 25 that relates to the hydrology and drainage. And this was very easy question when it comes to, there are certain easy peasy question as well in the prelims. And this was, I can, relate to it that this must have been the most easy question in your today's prelims examination. And it says, identify the river in the Indian subcontinent on the basis of the following information. First one is, it has antecedent drainage system. That is, it flows from north of Himalayas. All right, it flows through 3 countries. It originates in the Tibetan plateau and is an important river for irrigation, and it does not form any of the distributaries. So it was very simple because the Indus, it originates from Mount Kailash, and later on region where we have the Mount Kailash and the lake Rakastal is also there, and then it flows northwest. All right, so it moves from Tibet, that is under China, then it enters India, and then it flows through the Pakistan as well. All right, so we have the river that is it has the antecedent drainage pattern, flows through 3 countries, and then it originates in the Tibetan plateau, and also it does not form any of the distributaries. And of course, the correct answer here will be the Indus. That is the correct answer. All right, Indus will be the right answer. The rest of the options, they are incorrect. All right, or they do not follow the things which had been mentioned in the question itself. All right, now coming to the next question that was asked from geography. It is question number 26, and it is about the geopolitical boundaries and the state cartography. It says about which of the following with reference to the Indian states is R. Please remember over here the very important term or the word was not correct. The first statement is that Uttar Pradesh shares its boundary with the highest number of the other Indian states. So Uttar Pradesh basically it borders 8 of the states which are there, and again that is true. So again the first statement is right. The next statement is Rajasthan shares the longest international border among all the Indian states. This is incorrect because when it comes to the West Bengal, so it is the West Bengal that has the longest international border in India. So the second statement is incorrect. Then Sikkim is the only state that shares its boundary with just one other Indian state. So this is also incorrect because when it comes to this, the northeast, so there is Meghalaya as well. Meghalaya also shares its boundary with just one other Indian state. So this is also incorrect because Meghalaya is also one of it. All right. So again, when it comes to the second and third, they are incorrect, and we have. It was asked which of the following reference to the Indian state is are not correct. So we have 2 and 3 which are not correct. That is the answer will be C. It will be 2 and 3 which are incorrect. All right, now coming to the next one, we have Tungaruha volcano, which was declared a global geopark by UNESCO in 2025, is situated in which one among the following countries? This is question number 31 that was there in your set A. All right, now when it comes to this volcano, it is basically situated where? It is there in Ecuador. All right, it is located in Ecuador, and it was in April 2025 that UNESCO had declared this as a global geopark. All right, so this will be the right answer. The right answer is Ecuador. Now coming to the next question that is there, it is question number 33 that is there in your set A, and it is about insular climate, and we have with reference to the climate of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which of the following statements are correct. Now when it comes to the first statement, it is the climate can be defined as a humid tropical coastal climate. True. Alright. Then it receives rainfall from both southwest monsoon and the northeast monsoon. Yes, true. I know most of you would have crossed it, or you must have thought that this is the incorrect, but when it comes to the Andaman Nicobar, it receives the monsoon, or it receives the rainfall from both the monsoons, that is northeast as well as the southwest monsoon that we have in India. Now when it comes to the next important statement, it is basically about the highest rainfall. So it is between the June to November and not from December to May. It is between June to November, and that is why the third statement is incorrect. We have 1 and 2 only which are correct, and that is why the answer here will be B, that is 1 and 2 only. Alright, now coming to the next one, the next question that is there, it is question number 34 in your set A, and it is which of the following geographical feature or phenomena are associated with the peninsular block of India. Now, very important, because we have seen that every year, nearly every year, peninsular block or peninsular plateau had been asked in the prelims examination. Now, over here we have the first statement, and that is submergence of the parts of the western coast due to the tectonic activity. Yes, that happened, and that is why the western coast of India, it is a submerged, or the submerged coast, and the east coast of India, it is a coast of emergence as well. All right. Then comes the second statement, the presence of the residual mountain ranges such as Velikonda Hills and Mahendragiri Hills. Yes, they are there on the platform or on the peninsular block of India. Next comes deep V-shaped river valleys which are formed by fast flowing rivers. Now this is incorrect, because when it comes to the deep V-shaped valleys, these deep V-shaped valleys, the river valleys, they are formed where we have the higher mountains, or we have the mountains which have greater height. So ultimately over here, these are formed in the Himalayan region. You will not find over here very deep and V-shaped valleys that will be there. So again, the third statement is incorrect. We have first and second statement that are true, and the answer will be B. That will be the correct answer. Now moving to the next question that has been asked from the geography. It is question number 39, and that will be the last one, and it is about the Rift Valley. Alright, so I have told you again when I was talking about places and news. So I have told you that when it comes to the Great African Rift Valley, so this is very, very important. And over here the statement was, which of the following statements with reference to Lake Turkana are correct? The first one is, it is the largest desert lake in the world. So now when it comes to the first statement, it is true that Lake Turkana is the largest desert lake that is there in the world, largest permanent desert lake, and also the largest alkaline lake that is there in the world. The second statement is, the lake is situated in South Sudan along with the eastern fringe of the Sahara Desert. So statement 2 is incorrect, because it is located in the East African Rift Valley. Alright, it is not in the Saharan Desert. It is where? It is in the East African Rift Valley that is there. And that is why the statement 2 is incorrect. It is in the East African Rift Valley, and when it comes to Lake Turkana, it is there in North Kenya. Alright. Yes, paper was very lengthy, I know Kush. Alright, at the same time, this happens because when we have the statement questions, the questions which are based on the statements, so obviously it becomes lengthy. Alright, now when it comes to the third statement, we have the lake is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is also referred to as the Jade Sea. So that is true. I told you as well, when it comes to this Lake Turkana, we have discussed this just before your prelims. Alright, where I was, taking the revision batches, where we have discussed about places and news, we have discussed about species and news. So this was the place that we have discussed in that particular session, and you can go and you can see as well. So that is why it is very important that when you are there on the StudyIQ platform, you do not have to miss any of the videos, because everything that we are planning or everything that we are doing is for your selection. Alright, it directly relates to your prelims, to your mains, and even for your interviews as well. All right, so this is over here. The third statement is correct. The first statement is correct, but the second statement is not correct. So we have 1 and 3 only. That will be the right answer. That is B will be correct answer of question number 39. All right, so these are the questions that were asked from the environment as well as geography, and these are the questions. There are about like 15 of the questions that were asked, and that would be all. And ultimately, I'll be moving ahead and I'll be discussing, we will be discussing the rest of the subjects as well. All right. I know that history was quite tough and typical, and as well as we have the polity section as well, where we have the 3 of the questions that were asked from public administration. All right. So again, I'm taking the public administration optional as well. All right. And ultimately, the foundation batch or the complete batch, mains batch is going on right now. And we'll be starting off the crash course as well. All right, for you, for the students who are there, all right, who will be clearing, or they are there in the safe zone, so they can start preparing for the mains examination, and ultimately we'll be having the complete crash course as well for the public administration. Now, when it comes to public administration, you can see that in today's paper. All right, you can correlate that now public administration does not just scores you marks in your mains, but it also scores you marks in the prelims examination. All right, so there were like 3 of the questions that were directly from the public administration. So again, I'll be moving ahead, and I'm just waiting for the sir to come, and ultimately then we will be starting off with the other questions that we'll be discussing related to the other subjects which are there. I'll be there again, once again, when it comes to the polity as well as the current affairs that we'll be discussing later on. All right. So yes, paper was lengthy, paper was even moderate when it comes to the the level of the examination that was there, and you can write down and tell me that how many of the marks you have scored till now. Like for example, we have discussed the polity, the environment and geography section. So how many of them you are thinking that you have done well? Suhana, good afternoon. All right. All right, so Alok sir is coming and he will be discussing the questions. All right, so do not worry, and the questions will be discussed by Alok sir, and let's see that what all that will be there. Paper was neither easy nor tough. Yes, I know, that is what I'm saying, that the examination, the prelims, the level was moderate. It was neither too tough and neither very easy as well. But there are certain questions like in geography, they were quite easy. At the same time, we have seen that the number of the questions when it comes to geography and environment, they are just 15. Although typically what happens is that you see in the prelims examination that there are about 25 to 30 questions which are there from geography and environment. And that is what I have already said, that when it comes to the UPSC, it is unpredictable public service commission. You cannot predict that, okay, right, last year geography had like 25-30 questions, so this year also will have 25 to 30 questions when it comes to geography and environment. So there were like it was like 50% reduction in the questions of geography, right? So there were just 15 questions, 7 from pure geography, and there were like about 8 they were from the environment. And again, you can see when it comes to both the subjects, geography and environment, the environment had more questions as compared to geography. So again, these are the things that you should watch when it comes to the prelims examination. All right. All right. So tell me, how was your experience, and how many marks you think that you are scoring in today's prelims examination? Oh my God, Tushar, that's very heartbreaking. I know these things happen, and all right, I hope that you are okay and you are managing up with the emotional turbulence that you must be experiencing. All right, anything else that you want to share about today's examination? How did you find the paper or the examination today about the prelims examination that was conducted? All right, so Alok sir is coming, and all right, just a second. He will be taking the history, and let me pull up the history, this thing, PPT, so that we can move ahead and we can discuss the history questions as well. Just give me a moment so I can just pull up the history PPT as well. All right, just give me a second. Yes, we are waiting for Alok sir to join, and I'm just pulling up history. So ultimately now you can see that I am all right. So over here, what we'll be doing is we'll be discussing the history questions now with Alok sir, and just give me a second so that I can send the PPT. Please come, sir, please.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so Alok sir is here and he'll be discussing history, and I know that this is the history would have been quite hard.
Yes, sir.
Just a second. Let me pull up PPT.
This is the question number first. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all of you guys. So how are you, all of you? So first of all, like before I begin with the history section of the UPSC Prelims 2026, I would like to ask a question to you guys. According to you, how was the level of the paper? Yes. Kaizen? Others? Yes, please. What do you think was the level of the paper? Hello, Kaizen. Was it easy? Was it moderate? Was it difficult? Okay, good afternoon, Mabokji. Okay, I'll tell you what was the paper in my opinion. The paper was neither too easy nor too difficult, and we can say the level of the paper was from moderate to difficult. Mihir, according to you, it was easy. Mabokji, it was normal according to you. So we can say that the level was specifically around, Mihir, you're getting around 150 plus. Okay, that's great. So according to me, just hold on for a second. Okay, just a second. Just hold on for a second, guys. Yes, guys, I'm really sorry for the disturbance. And Okay, Anita ji, you say the what we say paper level was difficult. My friends, in my personal opinion, the level of the paper was from moderate to difficult. Like usually we see that the number of questions in UPSC examination concerning history were approximately 9 to 10 questions. Correct? Like if we analyze the trend of UPSC from 2022, so it was approximately 14 questions. Then the number of questions were 12. Like last year in 2025, the number of questions were 9 to 10. This year, there are approximately 20 to 21 questions from history. And you can observe one thing, that usually UPSC has a tendency to ask more number of questions from modern Indian history. But this year, there has been a divergence in the trend of UPSC, and there is more emphasis given on ancient Indian history. And specifically, there are very few direct questions in ancient Indian history. Okay, or we can say that there are very few direct questions. Okay, so Abhinav ji, if you like 120 plus, so that is the best way to qualify. Okay, now let's go for a quick discussion within next 15 minutes about the important questions. The first question is, which one of the following Carnatic music ragas is similar to the rag Bilawal in Hindustani music? So your answer is Dhira Shankara, specifically Dhira Shankara Bharamanam. Okay, and few of the text also cite the answer as Hanuman Todi. So here we will go with the answer D. So first of all, you have to pay one of the important attention. Like Raga Bilawal, it is one of the component of Hindustani music, and there are swaras in that, like Sare, Gama, Pada, Nisa. And that can also be found in certain aspects of the Dhira, and it can also be found in certain aspects of Hanumat Todi. So here we'll go with the answer of Dhira. Once again, I'll tell you one more important fact, that to an extent there might be slight variation with the answer key of UPSC. We are just going for a quick analysis. So to an extent, there might be a slight variation from the answer of UPSC key. Okay. Moving on to the next question. The artificially fixed rupee sterling exchange rate prescribed by the Hilton-Young Commission in 1926, Hilton-Young Commission, it was related to the finance, okay, was adopted by the British government for which one of the following reasons? Aiding the flow of remittances from India and maintaining India's credit worthiness, providing support to Indian importers, then encouraging the export of cotton produced from India, preventing the depreciation of the rupee terms of gold. Specifically speaking, here we can infer one important aspect, and the answer for this question goes with A, aiding the flow of remittances. Okay, so we can infer one thing, like Hilton-Young Commission, it is related to the finance, and they wanted to remit more money from India. Okay, like what is remittances specifically? It is also one of the part of the drain of wealth. And this was highlighted way back in 1896 Calcutta session of Indian National Congress by Dadabhai Nauroji. Like there was a unilateral drain of money from India to England. So aiding the flow of remittances, Hilton-Young Commission was being appointed. Next question. Consider the following text. Pali text contains the first definite references to coins such as Kahapana, Nishka, this is not Nikha or this is Nishka, and specifically Kamsa and Kakanika. The literary evidence from the Pali text is corroborated by the archaeological evidence of punch mark coins from many sites made, most of them made up of silver. So the question here is, the above statement has been associated with which of the following? Emergence of urban life, second, transition to money economy. So precisely speaking, we'll go with both the answers are true. So both the statements are true. Like there are Pali texts such as Vinay Pitak, Sut Pitak and Abhidhamma Pitak. Other important texts are Jatak stories. They also mention about the different punch mark coins. Like Vinay Pitak, which is also the one of the part of three Pitakas. Vinay Pitak, it is also referred as Book of Discipline. Vinay Pitak, precisely speaking, it is called as Panchashatak Siddhant because it was being composed by more than 500 monks. So here you can find the mention of punch marked coins of the contemporary rulers. Okay, so that speaks about the emergence of urban life. Okay, and secondly, there was development of different shrenis or guilds of merchants. And these guilds of merchants, also referred as Sethis, they moved from the barter system to the use of money. So that led to the transition of money economy. So answer we can infer here is C, both 1 and 2. Clear? Moving on with the next one. Which one of the following temples has or have a Nagara style shikhar? Mallageti Shivalaya, Badami. Then Huchi Mallagudi Temple, Ayyol. Dashavatar Temple, Devgarh. Virupaksha Temple, Patadakkal. See, now what is shikhar first of all? Now, Nagara style of architecture, there is something called as Nagara style of architecture and Vesara style of architecture. In Nagara style of architecture, the curvilinear structure just above the Garbhagriha is referred as shikhar. And that is referred precisely in southern part of India or Dravida style of architecture as Viman. Like there are different components of temple architecture. Like I'll give you a very simple example. One of the component is Jagati. Second important component is Mandapam or Mahamandapam. Third important component is Vahan. Fourth important component is Antaral. Then Garbhagriha, it forms one of the most crucial component where the deity is kept. Just outside the Garbhagriha, you can observe the Dwarpals. Above the Garbhagriha, we have Shikhar. Okay, and that pyramidical structure is referred as Shikhar. So precisely speaking, the North Indian style architecture is referred as Nagara style and South Indian style architecture is referred as Dravida style. So the question has been asked, the Nagara style, that is a curvilinear shikhar, has been observed in which among the following temples? And majority of the temples are located in southern part of India. So answer to this question, fourth one, goes with B, 2 and 3. This temple, it was being constructed by the Chalukyas, and Dashavatar temple, obviously it was being constructed at Devgarh by the Gupta dynasty rulers. So answer here goes with B, 2 and 3. Is that clear? Moving on with the next question. Among the four main forms of existence of life recognized in Jainism, which one of the following is not included? Dev, Yaksh, Manushya and Tiryancha. See, Jainism, as per Jainism, totally there are 24 Tirthankars. Okay, and like who will become the next Tirthankar? It has been mentioned in the various Jain texts. Like precisely speaking, the first Tirthankar was Rishabhnath or Adinathji with the symbol as bull. The 19th Tirthankar, as per Digambar, was a male, as per Shwetambar was a female and was referred as Mallinath or Mallibai. 23rd Tirthankar was Parshavnathji with a symbol as serpent or a snake, and 24th Tirthankar was Vardhaman Mahavirji with a symbol as lion. Now all of them have given different Jain doctrines. So as per, like, there are four kind of gatis, okay, or there are four kinds of existence. The first kind of existence is the heavenly bodies or heavenly deities, which are referred as Devtas or Devas. So this one is correct. Second one is Manushya. Manushya means human beings, that is we people. So that has been mentioned. Then comes animals and plants, which is referred as Tiryancha. Then the fourth gati is referred as Nark. Nark means hellish people. So specifically speaking, Yaksh or demigods are not included. Or many of the Jain texts also believe that Yaksh or demigods are a part of Devas itself. So the four gatis are Devas or the Devtas. Second one is Manushya. Third one is Tiryancha, and fourth one is Narak. Okay, so Yaksh can be included as a part of Deva or the gods. Okay, moving ahead. The Hali Sakya painting in the Bagh caves represent a joyous folk dance. Then Buddha in a meditative pose, the depiction of Shiva and Parvati on Kailash, and Samudra Manthan, churning of the ocean. Like, let me give you a few examples about this. Like Bagh caves, it was constructed, okay. Bagh caves, it was being constructed by whom? Bagh caves was being constructed by a monk referred as Dattak. It was constructed on the banks of river Baghani, and it is located in Dhar district of Madhya Pradesh. Now, it is a group of many caves, and cave number 4 is quite famous, which is referred as Rang Mahal. Okay, Rang Mahal is quite famous, precisely speaking. Okay, so it is said that there are different paintings that have been depicted. So a kind of a joyous folk dance, okay, that has been represented here as a part of Rang Mahal. So answer here is joyous folk dance. Many of the historians, many of the archaeologists do believe that Bagh caves are a kind of Buddhist caves, but the painting, it represents a bit secular nature. Okay, so joyous folk dance, it is referred as Hali Sakaya. I repeat, it is referred as Hali Sakaya. Is that clear? Yes, Cricket World, what was the question that you did not understand? Please let me know. The previous one or this one? One more important aspect. Okay, Like sometimes Ajanta caves questions are also important. Apart from this, Ellora caves questions are also being asked in the examination. But this year they have asked a question on Bagh caves, which is located on the banks of river Baghani, which was constructed by a Buddhist monk specifically, whose name was Datak. Okay. The question number, fifth one. I'll again explain that, cricket world. Just listen to me. I'll explain that within the next 10 to 20 seconds. See, as per Jainism, the 24 Tirthankar have given certain philosophies. Okay. These Tirthankars are also referred in Jain Shastras as Acharyas. And they have mentioned about 4 gatis, that is 4 kind of beings. The first gati is Devas or Devtas. Okay. And that gati specifically means the heavenly bodies. Second comes the Manushya, that is the people who live in the earth, that is we people, that is human beings. Third is plants and animals, which is referred as Tiryancha. The fourth one, as per Jainism, are the people who are living in the hell, Narak. Okay. And Yaksh, which are considered as demigods. Yaksh or demigods are the part of Devas itself. So, since they are a part of Devas itself, it is not considered as the fourth gati. The fourth gati is of Narak. So, answer here is Yaksh. Now, is it clear, cricket world? Now, moving on to the 7th question. Hope you have understood this. Okay. 7th question is, the earliest epigraphic use of place value system in India is found in Malkani plates from Gujarat. Okay. Now, precisely speaking, it is said that this question is a bit of factual, so you need to understand about the different inscriptions. Like usually there are questions on inscriptions as well, and they are factual. You have to memorize them or you have to go through them at least once. Okay. In the 9th century, the place value system became general inscription all over India. The place values have been found in Sanskrit inscriptions in Southeast Asia as early as 7th century. Answer here is 1, 2, 3. Now, in very simple words, what is place value system? Place value system is nothing but the number system. Okay. And the number system, specifically speaking, around 6th and 7th century AD, it became quite popular in southern part of India and in Southeast Asian countries as well. Okay, in the coming years. So initially it was found at Malkani plates from Gujarat, and later on it spread to the different regions. So answer here goes with 1, 2 and 3. So this question is factual one. Is that clear? Moving ahead with the next question. Consider the following statement about the archaeological findings in the Harappan towns. And from these findings we have to decipher the things. Now, Indus Valley Civilization site, there are many sites. Indus Valley Civilization is also referred as Harappan Civilization because Harappa was the first site to be discovered. It was discovered in 1921 by Dayaram Sahani and it is located on the banks of river Ravi in Pakistan. Now, what all things have been mentioned about Harappa? Just let's observe about this. There is a wide occurrence of spindle whorls in the houses but absence of spinning wheels. Second, weights and measure scales complete with graduations have been discovered. There are houses built in large part with the baked bricks around relatively spacious courtyards with their own wells, bathing platforms and large rooms. Now, based on the above mentioned statements, how many statements given here are correct? Okay, 8th one. First thing. Statement 1 suggests that spinning wheel was a laborious activity done at home. So, spinning wheel concerning statement 1. So, this statement is a correct statement. Second, weights and measure scales like a copper scale have been found at the site of Harappa. So, it is a kind of a scientific development. So, the second statement goes like suggests that extent of scientific knowledge that Harappan civilization people possessed. So, this statement also goes correct. Third, there are large parts with baked bricks, relatively spacious courtyards with their own wells, bathing platforms and large rooms. It suggests the extent, like the third statement suggests the emergence of a common property system. Like I'll give you a very simple example. Indus Valley civilization, like majority of the cities were divided into 2 major parts, the upper town and the lower town. Like precisely speaking, upper town was also referred as upper citadel and lower town was also referred as lower citadel. Okay. Now, citadel, it's a wall-like structure which protects the city from getting flooded. Now there are different aspects of the upper town and the lower town. Now let me give you a very simple example. In lower town or in lower citadel, you can observe that well is located between two houses and the wells are made up of burnt bricks. And in upper citadel or the upper town, one can observe that well is located within the courtyard of the house. So it's a kind of a private property. There is nothing called as common property system. Is that clear? So what were certain things that were common? Like great bath was a common thing. But the major aspect here is like owning of the private well, like there was existence of well within the courtyard of the house itself in the upper town or upper citadel. This exhibits one thing, that there was nothing called as common property system. There was a kind of a private property system. Okay. So from here, from these statements, we can infer one thing. Statement number 1 and 2 are correct. Okay. Let's go with the 9th question. The question on modern Indian history after a long time. You can usually observe one thing. Whatever questions that we have discussed right now, okay, approximately 8 questions, all of the questions are from ancient Indian history majorly. Okay, and usually UPSC has a tendency to ask 1, 2 or 3 questions from ancient Indian history. But this year UPSC has changed its strategy concerning history. Correct? Hence we usually keep on saying UPSC is also unpredictable. Correct? Now, which one of the following statements about the Eka movement and Bardoli Satyagraha is correct? Now, both Eka movement and Bardoli Satyagraha are the peasant movements. So, Eka movement was around 1920s, Bardoli Satyagraha was around 1928. Okay. Eka movement, it was being led by Madari Pasi, and Eka movement, it was cornered around the region of Hardoi, Bahraich, Sitapur. Okay. And Bardoli Satyagraha, as the name suggests, it is around the region of Bardoli. It was led by Vallabhbhai Patel ji. In fact, it was led by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel ji. In fact, during the Bardoli Satyagraha, Vallabhbhai Patel ji was given the title of Sardar by the women of Bardoli. Okay. So now, what are the important statements here? So answer here is C. For the specifically 9th one, the answer here is C. Bardoli Satyagraha was a campaign against the enhancement of the land revenue. Okay. I'll talk about this like Kheda Satyagraha. In Kheda Satyagraha, it was also led by Vallabhbhai Patel ji. And here, the spiritual support was being provided by M.K. Gandhi in Kheda Satyagraha. In Kheda Satyagraha, the taxes were increased by the Britishers by 23%. And as a part of Bardoli Satyagraha, the taxes were increased by 22 to 30%. Few of the text cite that it was 22%, few of the text cite that it was 30%. So, okay. So, it was a campaign against the land revenue enhancement. So, this statement goes true. While the Eka movement was a protest against the excessive extraction of the recorded rents. Like there is one system which is referred as Zamindari system. As per Zamindari system, Britishers have appointed Zamindars. These Zamindar will collect the revenue from the cultivators or the farmers. They'll keep their commission and the pre-decided revenue would be given to the Britishers. Okay. Now, these Zamindars used to exploit the peasants for giving them more revenue. So, this was a movement for what? This was a movement specifically for excessive extraction of the rents. Apart from the recorded rent, these Zamindars are collecting more rents from the peasants. So, answer here is C for the 9th one. Is that clear? Now, let's go with the 10th one. We'll go a bit faster. Consider the following statements about the Rig Vedic period. Irrigation from wells allowed the agriculture to expand away from floodplains and strips on the river margins into the present Punjab and Haryana plains, having an underground water levels reasonably close to the surface. Second, drought animal power was employed to drop water from the wells. These are the 2 statements given. Now, which of the following information supports the above statement? There is evidence in the Rig Veda of the use of Ashma Chakra, that is stone pulley, and Avat, that is strapped wooden pails to draw up water. That is true. So first statement is correct because in Rig Veda, there are different mandals. Okay, there are 10 mandals in Rig Veda. And in a particular mandal, there are different suktas. And in the different suktas, there is a mention of Ashma Chakra. Okay, that is stone pulley wheel. So we can confirm one thing, that stone pulley wheel might have been utilized for the agricultural purposes and majorly for irrigation purpose. Okay. Mention have been made in Rig Veda of use of implements like Parshu and Srini, that is sickle. Now, Parshu and Srini, they are majorly related to what? They are majorly related to plowing activities. Here the question has been asked to what? Here the question has been asked specifically related to irrigation things. So here we have to infer things, okay? Then there is a history of the use of ox even before the Rig Veda for plowing of land and pulling the carts. This statement is correct. Like we have studied about the Harappan civilization. In Harappan civilization, we have studied different sites such as Kalibangan and Banavali. In fact, at the site of Kalibangan and Banavali, which exhibit Proto-Harappan and Harappan cultural phase, the fields were plowed before sowing the seeds. So there is no problem with that. But here the question has been asked related to what? The question has been asked here related to irrigation system. So here I would suggest that UPSC can go with the answer 1 and 2 because probably specifically like Srini or sickle, it might be used for different purposes which might be related to the irrigation facilities, irrigation activities and so on. So we can infer 1 and 2, but I'll tell you one more thing. Please rely on the UPSC answer key for the question number 10. So to an extent, I will tell you this question is a bit doubtful. Now, what UPSC will analyze will go accordingly. Is that clear to all of you? Okay. Desh Bhaktaji, you are getting 80 to 85. What about the cutoff? In my personal opinion, the cutoff, it would be somewhere ranging between 90 to 95, in my personal opinion. Okay. It might vary, it might go a bit less, it might go around 98 or so on. But in my personal opinion, it might go from 90 to 95. Okay. Moving on with the next question. Consider the following assertion. In the Pleistocene period, either the Yamuna once flowed into the Indus or the Sutlej once flowed into the Yamuna, and one major tributary of either had shifted from the Ganges to the Indus or vice versa. Again, this is a question that is a bit doubtful and we have to infer things from here. Okay. Just give me a second. Now, which one of the following are the basis of the above assertion? Now, there are 3 geological stages. Okay, first one is Miocene age, second one is Pliocene age, third one is Pleistocene age. Now, Homo sapiens appeared for the first time in the Pleistocene age, and Pleistocene age is further categorized into different parts. Like Pleistocene age, it is categorized into Paleolithic age, Mesolithic age, Neolithic age, and Chalcolithic age. Paleolithic age, it is known for development of stone tools. Mesolithic age, one of the most important aspect of Mesolithic age was domestication of animals. Neolithic age was development of agriculture, and Chalcolithic age is also referred as stone copper phase. All these are the part of Pleistocene period. Now they have asked a question concerning the shift in the river course. Now it has been mentioned or it has been found in which among the following statement? The Nadi Sukta of Rig Veda. So there is, like Rig Veda, it is divided into 10 mandals. Okay. And in the 10th mandal or the 10th book of Rig Veda, there is a 75th Sukt. In 75th Sukt, it is referred as Nadi Sukta. So there are 25, more than 17 to 25 rivers mentioned in Nadi Sukta of Rig Veda. And all the rivers here that are mentioned as a part of Nadi Sukta. Okay. But specifically, we do not have a proper evidence about this. Exploration of Sutlej and Yamuna by Robert Bruce Foote. Robert Bruce Foote, he is referred as father of Indian prehistory. And if you study about the historiography or if you study about the archaeological excavations that was being done by Robert Bruce Foote, he has majorly worked in the southern part of India, or he has carried out excavations majorly in southern part of India. And there is less emphasis on northern part of India, and Yamuna and Sutlej are majorly the rivers of northern parts of India. So the second statement goes wrong here. So if the second statement goes wrong, obviously option B and C, they are eliminated. The third one, the presence of same species of dolphins in both the Indus and Ganga river systems. Like initially Indus might be a tributary of Ganga or Ganga might be a tributary of Indus. We can infer from this statement. So specifically, third statement might go correct. We are not sure about the first statement, but third statement is correct. So according to me, the answer should be 3 only. Okay, but let's see what UPSC goes with the answer. Moving on with the next one. What does an empty seat represent in the early Buddhist iconography? Okay. The meditation of Buddha. Like, I'll give you a very simple example. There are different stages associated with the life of Buddha. The first stage is it is said that at the age of 29, once upon a time, Buddha, he was driving down the town along with his charioteer Channa and horse Kantak. And 4 events drastically changed his life. The one was sick man groaning with pain, an old man bent with age, a corpse or a dead body, and an ascetic. And he was very much fascinated by the ascetic, and after that there was a dialogue between Buddha and that ascetic. And at the very young age of 29, Buddha decided to renounce his worldly life, and that process in the history of Buddhism is referred as Mahabhinishkraman. Like at the age of 35, he reached a place called as Gaya, and he continuously meditated for 49 days under a peepal tree on the banks of Niranjana or Falgu river. And that process is referred as Nirvana. And from here onwards, Siddhartha was referred as Buddha. So this process of Nirvana he attained under a peepal tree. He delivered his first sermon at a place called as Sarnath near Varanasi. And that is referred as Dharma Chakra Parivartan. Okay. And finally, he died at the place called as Kushinagar or Pava. And that process is referred as Mahaparinirvana. So Mahaparinirvana is the death of Buddha. And after the death of Buddha, his body relics were being distributed among the 8 royal families by a Brahmin named as Drona. So stupa signifies the death of Buddha. Okay. Bodhi tree. So death of Buddha is signified by the stupa. Secondly, Dharma Chakra. Okay. Dharma Chakra, it is the first sermon of Buddha. So these 2 statements are eliminated. Then comes another important statement, the meditation of Buddha. As we have discussed previously, Buddha, he had meditated continuously for the 49 days on the banks of Niranjana or Falgu river under a peepal tree. So meditation of Buddha, it is again eliminated. Even if you do not know the 4th answer, by using the elimination technique, you can come to a conclusion that answer is D, that is Buddha's Mahabhinishkraman, that is process of renunciation. Like Buddha, he himself was what? Buddha, he himself was a prince. His father Shuddhodhan, he was a chief of Sakya clan. So when he renounced his worldly life, the seat of the king, it became vacant. Correct? Who will succeed after Shuddhodhan? So Mahabhinishkraman probably might be the answer for this question. Okay. Moving on with the next one. There are many questions related to ancient Indian history. Like we did not expect that there would be so many questions related to ancient Indian history. And one of the most shocking thing is hardly there is any question from medieval Indian history. Hardly. Like students might have expected that there could be at least a question from the administration of the Marathas, administration of Vijayanagar Empire, Delhi Sultanate, or Mughals administration, terminology related to all of them. But none of the questions have been asked. Okay. Why option number 1 is not correct? The meditation of Buddha. Meditation of Buddha, it was under a peepal tree. Okay. So if the question could have been, like Sanidhya, you have asked this question. If the question could have been the peepal tree or the place under a peepal tree, it could be meditation of Buddha. But the question is empty seat. Okay. So empty seat is nothing but Mahabhinishkraman because he has renounced his worldly life. He has given up the life of a prince and so on. Okay. So answer we can derive here is specifically Mahabhinishkraman. Next one fast. Which one of the following pairs of ancient and modern names of the rivers are correctly matched? Vitast, Chenab, Askini, Jhelum, Parushini, Ravi, Yavayavati, that is Byas. My friends, answer to this is Parushini, Ravi. Okay. Chenab is referred as Askini, Jhelum is referred as Vitast, and Vipas is Byas. So answer is 3, that is only Parushini, that is Ravi. Next one. Which one of the following statements about the Amravati Stupa and its relief sculpture are correct? Now, there are 3 kinds of stupas: Sharirik Stup, Paribhogika Stup, and Updeshika Stup. Sharirik Stup are those stupa which are constructed over the body relics of Buddha. Okay. Then Paribhogika Stup, these are those kind of stupas which are constructed over the belongings of Buddha. One such finest example is Kesariya Stup. And the third kind of a stup is Updeshika Stup. Okay. Now, precisely speaking, Amravati Stupa. Now, it is located in Lower Krishna Valley. This statement is correct. Now, in India, it was next only to the Sanchi Stupa in size. In fact, it is larger than the Sanchi Stupa, which is located in Madhya Pradesh. So this statement goes wrong. The Amravati school of sculpture made a lasting impact on the later South Indian sculpture, and its products were carried to Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia. This statement is also correct. So answer here is 14th C. Okay. So not C, 1 and 3. Answer here is B. Okay. So this is eliminated. This is eliminated. So we can go with 1 and 3. Is that clear? Shonki. The question, like, why it is not Mahaparinirvan? Because Mahaparinirvan, it is represented by stupa, not by an ideal seat. Because the meaning of the word Mahaparinirvan is death of Buddha. Okay. So hope so the point is clear. Shonki. Moving on with the next one. Which one of the following pairs of the kings and his dynasty in the early historical Tamilakam are not correctly matched? Okay. Senguttuvan, it is correctly matched. Chera dynasty ruler. Senguttuvan, he is also referred as Red Chera or Good Chera. For the very first time, an embassy from South India to China was sent during the time of Senguttuvan. Second most important aspect about Senguttuvan, he had crossed the river Ganges. He has gone to Himalayas. From there, he had brought certain stones. And with the help of these stones, he had laid the foundation of a temple dedicated to goddess Kannaki, who is one of the prime characters precisely in Shilpadikaram. Okay. So answer here is, like, this statement is correct. Then Nendu Chelian and Nendu Chezian were the Pandyan kings. Udyanjaral, he was not a Chola prince. He was again a Chera ruler. He is referred as Udyanjaral Adan. Like it is said that he had assumed a title Imaya Varambham. Imaya Varambham means one who has Himalayas as his boundary. So specifically, the second one is incorrect. Answer is 2. Is that clear? No, Shonki. So death doesn't means the empty seat. Death is represented by stupa. Okay. Moving on with the next one. Which one of the following factors contributed to the formation of the forward bloc by Subhash Chandra Bose in 1939? Now, Bose failed to win the confidence of M.K. Gandhi. This statement is correct. Then the Congress left was disunited and failed to support Bose. This again is correct. The communists did not support the Bose in his endeavors. This is wrong. The supporters of M.N. Roy and socialist leaders like Jai Prakash Narayan preferred Congress unity to supporting Bose. This is correct. Now, I'll give you a very simple example. Around 1939, there began a World War II. And there were dissenting opinion between Subhash Chandra Bose and M.K. Gandhi. Now, M.K. Gandhi, like Subhash Chandra Bose, had a belief that, like, this is the best time that we should start a movement in India on a massive scale, because Britishers right now are busy with the World War II. On the other hand, M.K. Gandhi was of opinion that this is not the best time to start a movement. Okay, that would be unethical on the part of Congress. So there were dissenting opinion like it is said that dissenting opinion between both of them. So Subhash Chandra Bose ji had left the Indian National Congress. So he failed to win the support of M.K. Gandhi. On the other hand, there were various other leaders who were also supporting Subhash Chandra Bose at that time. Okay. So 1, 2 and 4. Yes, Shonki, 1, 2 and 4 are correct. Is that clear? Next one. Consider the following statement regarding the British policy in Awadh immediately after the annexation in 1856. Like you might have heard about the doctrine of lapse that was being initiated by Lord Dalhousie. Lord Dalhousie is also referred as James Andrew Ramsay and is known for his policy of doctrine of lapse. And many kingdoms were annexed under the pretext of doctrine of lapse. The first one was Satara. Now the last kingdom to be annexed was Awadh. Now Awadh was annexed on the pretext of maladministration or misrule. Okay. And after that, the revenue settlement policy of the Britishers was changed. Okay. Now, what kind of a revenue settlement policy had they adopted? Let's understand. The talukdars were dispossessed of their estates but allowed to retain their arms and forts. Okay. But allowed to retain their arms and the forts. The first thing. This is wrong. A summary revenue settlement was made in 1856, assuming that the talukdar were outside. The British believed in taking the revenue directly from the peasants by removing the talukdars. Correct. Like as a part of the revenue settlement, like what we said talukdars or the kind of zamindars in this region revolted. And precisely the estates of the zamindars or the estates of the talukdars was being taken away during the time of around 1856. So they were not allowed to retain the possession of forts and so on. Everything was taken from them. So the first statement goes wrong. And specifically, talukdars were considered as outsiders, and Britishers thought that we will directly collect the revenue from the cultivators. So there is no necessity of what we say talukdars or zamindar acting as a middleman between the peasant and the company. So a new revenue settlement came, talukdars were removed, and after that, Britishers or English East India Company directly collected the revenue from the peasants or cultivators. So from these statements, we can infer one thing: statement number 2 and 3 are correct. Okay. Next one. Consider the following. Again, this is a bit doubtful one. Consider the following. The genesis of the political alliances based on community lay in the very nature of the Montego-Chelmsford reforms, 1919. Now, Britishers had come up with the reforms in what we say 1909, which was referred as Indian Council Act 1909 or Morley-Minto reforms. Okay. Why it was referred as Morley-Minto reforms? Because Morley was Secretary of State for India and Minto was Viceroy of India. Then comes Government of India Act 1919. Okay, which is also referred as Montego-Chelmsford reforms. Montego was Secretary of State for India and Chelmsford was Viceroy of India at that time. Clear? Now, what were the important aspects? Let's understand. Reforms retained and extended the principle of separate electorate. As a part of Morley-Minto reforms, separate electorate was given to the Muslims in 1909. And now, as a part of Government of India Act 1919 or Montego-Chelmsford reforms, this was extended to Sikh and other communities. So this statement goes correct. Separate electorate was supposed to counter the Indian nationalism which was growing stronger. This statement is also correct. In fact, there was a strong demand by Indian National Congress and its leaders to give up the concept of separate electorate. Now, what is the difference between separate electorate and reservation of seats? Let me give you a very simple example about this. Suppose there is a constituency and in that constituency there are 100 members. Out of 100 members, there are 70 Muslims and 30 they belong to other community. If that constituency has been reserved for Muslims as a part of separate electorate, in very simple words, the candidate who is contesting the election will compulsorily belong to Muslim community. And secondly, the voters will also compulsorily belong to the Muslim community. That is separate electorate. In very simple words, as a part of separate electorate, the candidate and secondly, the voters both belong to the same community. But as a part of reservation of seat, the candidate will belong to that community, but the members of the entire constituency will vote. That is reservation of seats. Okay. So separate electorate was majorly brought to create a dissensions among the Indian society at that time. So it was an antidote to nationalism. Deprived classes rallied around the favors inherent in separate electorate. Now, precisely speaking, here the answer should actually be, according to me, 1 and 2. But many of the sources have cited the answer 1, 2 and 3. Now, why according to me? Because for the depressed classes, they have demanded separate electorate for the depressed classes for the very first time during the series of round table conferences, which was represented by B.R. Ambedkar ji. Okay, series of round table conferences took place from 1930 to 1932 in London. And the depressed class section was being represented by B.R. Ambedkar ji, and he spoke about a separate electorate for depressed classes. And then Britishers came up with communal award. So according to me, the answer should be 1 and 2. But different sources have cited different answers. So some of them have considered answer as 1, 2 and 3. Now let's wait for the official answer key of UPSC. Last two questions. Pandit Mallikarjun Mansoor, the famous classical singer from Karnataka, represented which gharana? So he represented Jaipur Atrauli gharana. Again, a factual question. And the last question is, in which one of the following texts does the term Kshetra Patni, mistress of the field, originate? So it is mentioned in Atharva Ved. There are 4 Vedas: Rig Ved, Samved, Yajurved and Atharva Ved. Okay. Atharva Ved, it is composed by 2 important rishis, Atharvan Rishi and Angira Rishi. Hence, it is also called as Atharvangira Ved. But since majority of the verses are composed by Atharvan Rishi, it is referred as Atharva Ved. Is that clear? It is also considered as a books of charms and spell. So the Kshetra Patni, the term it has been used in Atharva Ved. Okay. And the last question, 37th one. Which one of the following statement with regard to Moidams built by Thai Ahom Kingdom and inscribed as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO are correct? So they were the burial grounds of the royals and nobles. So answer here goes with the 3 only. So from this year paper, we can analyze one thing. Okay. And what is that? We never expected so many questions from ancient Indian history. Out of 20 questions, you have analyzed one thing. There were just 3 to 4 questions from modern Indian history. And usually as a part of the trend of UPSC, every year the case is reverse. There is more emphasis given to modern Indian history and less emphasis is given to the other part, ancient and medieval Indian history. Here we have observed that medieval Indian history, rarely there is any kind of a question. Okay. Second important aspect, like out of 21 questions, 12 to 15 questions are from ancient Indian history. And out of 12 to 15 questions, 4 to 5 questions are the questions that you have to interpret. A statement has been given concerning Rig Veda. A statement has been given concerning the inscriptional evidences. The statement have been given according to different aspects. And now you have to infer from the knowledge that you have. Like previously, UPSC used to ask the questions, which are the key important findings from the site of Harappa? Which are the key important findings from the site of Mohenjo-daro? Now you have to say that from these findings, what have you inferred? Correct? Like one of the questions was from Harappa. Like last year, there was a direct question in UPSC examination about the bronze image of a nude dancing girl was found from the which site of Indus Valley civilization? So it was found from the site of Mohenjo-daro. Correct? But this year inference have been asked. Like the copper scale have been found from Harappa. So what can we infer? That the people of Indus Valley civilization were scientifically and technically advanced. So here for ancient Indian history, I would suggest you after analyzing the entire paper, you have to read in bit depth and detail now. Apart from the factual aspects, apart from the conceptual aspect, you also need to focus on the analytical aspects as well. Okay. So that was all about, and approximately 20% of the paper of this year was from the section of history itself. And very few of them expected this kind of a paper, correct? Sanidhya, if you have to appear for the current, like the examination, in my opinion, you should cover the current affairs of 1.5 years, 1 to 1.5 years. Okay. See, Shonki, how to memorize the full ancient Indian history. First of all, study the important topics of ancient Indian history. Apart from this, many of the students directly start reading the reference book. I have observed this. And in fact, many of the students directly ask, sir, can we directly go for reading Poonam Dalal Dahiya? Right? Can we directly go for reading B.L. Grover and Alka Mehta for modern Indian history? My friends, please do not skip the basic books. Please do not skip the NCERT. Please do not skip the Tamil Nadu State Board book. Because from these books, you can get the important knowledge. Correct? Please do not skip the books or the NCERT such as Themes of Indian History. From there also the questions have been derived. Is that clear? So my friends, with this, I'll stop my words and I would like the other faculty, that is Ankit sir, to come. And he will be speaking or throwing light on the vivid aspects of economy. Any more questions, guys? Yes, please. Yes, Ankit sir, over to you. Ankit sir is here. Before that, I'll take any one of your questions. Please feel free to ask any kind of a question to me concerning history, this year's paper. Ankit sir also expected many questions from economy. But let's see what Ankit sir throws light upon. Okay, Shonki, thank you. Okay. Read since 21 to 31, write paper in 32 only. Okay. Alok ji, maximum weightage, as I've talked about this, the maximum weightage this year was from the section of history. It was around 21 to 22 questions from history. In fact, we can say, yes, 20 questions from the history section, 1 questions again from the history section, but it was correlated to the current affairs. So 21 questions from history section this year. Okay. So revise, repeat, and the key is revision. Correct? Key is revision. I would suggest you one thing. It is better to read one book 10 times rather than reading 10 books. So my friends, without wasting any more time, I'll hand over the mic to our own Ankit sir for the economy. Okay, Ankit sir, over to you.
Thank you, Alok sir. Hello students, how are you? So, what is your opinion about economy? Anybody who can pitch in? You'll have to give me a second. I need to set up the PPTs, okay? In the meantime, as I was asking, what is your opinion about expected cutoff? Well, wait for it. Economy difficult. Anybody else? How many of you find economy as a subject difficult, not thinking about the paper? Good afternoon, Deepu. Learning law. Economy is doable. Very right. Learning law. What is your name? July. Inference based questions. Good. So let us start with this first question. You need to develop a habit. This habit, when you are solving PYQs or any MCQ for that matter, this habit is that you have to read the question very carefully. Understand, Vikash? Only after reading the questions carefully, you should proceed in solving the questions. This is a prerequisite you have to follow for all UPSC MCQs. So let's read the question. Which among the following is or are the objectives of the Rain-Fed Area Development Initiative under the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture? What this mission talks about? This mission talks about rain-fed areas. What are rain-fed areas? Anybody? Mohan Priya? Chonglio? Rain-fed areas are those areas where the farmers depend on rainwater for irrigation. Why they have to depend on rainwater for irrigation? Because irrigation support from the government is absent there. In general, about 51 to 55% of India's gross cropped areas, these are what? These are rain-fed in nature. And what do you think are the challenges in rain-fed areas? In rain-fed areas, since they are dependent upon rainwater for irrigation, if there is, wait a minute, just give me a second. If in rain-fed areas there is no rainfall, what would happen? If there is no rainfall, the crops that you are going to plant in rain-fed areas obviously are going to die. If they don't die, the yield in those areas would be very less. So, the consequence of no rain is that the yields drop or there is a lot of crop wastage. So, this is what this rain-fed area development initiative wants to prevent. So let us in this regard read the first statement, encouraging monoculture in rain-fed areas. Monoculture means on that particular land you're only growing rice, you're only growing sugarcane, you're only growing wheat. Do you think this is a sustainable model of agriculture to be followed in rain-fed areas? No. If you follow monoculture, plant only rice, and God forbid if there is no rainfall in that particular year, or your crops would go to waste. So, encouraging diverse agriculture, not monoculture, is subscribed in rain-fed areas. So, first statement becomes incorrect. Let us look at the second statement, increasing rice cultivation in irrigated region. What do you think this statement is? Just read the initiative. It talks about rain-fed area development. Are irrigated regions rain-fed areas? No. So just by common sense, you can eliminate second statement. Now, enhancing productivity and minimizing climate risk through integrated farming systems. What are integrated farming systems? In integrated farming systems, you don't just plant crops or grains, but you also indulge in horticulture. You indulge in animal rearing. You indulge in fisheries. You indulge in poultry. So this means even if due to lack of rains your crops fail or your horticulture fail, still farmer will be able to make money, will be able to generate income through these allied activities. So enhancing productivity and minimizing climate risk through integrated farming makes perfect sense in rain-fed area development. So the correct answer to this question would be option C, because first two are incorrect. So option D is your right answer. Clear? Horticulture means growing of fruits and vegetables. Clear? Now let us move to the another question. Consider the following statement with reference to what? The Sagarmala program of Government of India. What is a Sagarmala program? In India's coastal areas, the government wants to develop port infrastructure. The government wants to, through Sagarmala program, connect coastal areas with mainland areas through inland waterways. So this is what is envisaged under Sagarmala program. If you construct port infrastructure, you need connectivity, road connectivity, rail connectivity between these ports, right? So in this regard, let us evaluate the three statements. Sagarmala program seeks to achieve port-led economic growth through cost-effective and sustainable coastal infrastructure. What is port-led economic growth? Let me give you an example of Mundra Port in Gujarat. Mundra Port is located in Kutch area. Kutch area, as you can already understand, is earlier was economically less developed area because it is an area which consists of barren land. So what government did? It set up a big port there, and the private company Adani Limited handles that port. So because of the development of that port in a barren area, you have seen economic development happening. And what is the fulcrum of that economic development? The port itself. So first statement automatically becomes correct. Second statement, the success of Sagarmala program is reflected in significant growth in coastal and inland waterway shipping along with improved global port rankings. How would you evaluate this second statement? Now government from time to time have highlighted the success of Sagarmala program. It stated that after Sagarmala program, there has been 117% growth in coastal shipping and a whopping 700% growth in inland shipping. So, according to government, this has improved our global port rankings, which you can see. The turnaround time, which is emptying of a ship and allowing that ship to leave the harbor, is called as turnaround time. That turnaround time is a measure of efficiency of a port. The lesser the turnaround time, the more efficient the port is. And in India, all of that has improved so much so that we are now at par with Singapore port. So second statement is correct. Now read the third statement. Sagarmala 2.0 aims to position India as a global maritime innovation hub. Now what is Sagarmala 2.0? Sagarmala 1.0 was focusing on creation of port-led infrastructure. Sagarmala 2.0 wants to make coastal shipping, inland water shipping more and more efficient. So through that, we are now going to utilize technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, data mining, Internet of Things in order to make the port operations more digitized and more efficient. So third statement is correct. Now we have identified that all these three statements are correct. So now let us fulfill the requirement of the question. Which one of the following relationships among the above statement is or are correct? Statement 2 validates the effectiveness of strategies envisioned in statement 1. Do you think this is correct? The success of Sagarmala program, as has been highlighted by the government, directly says that whatever government wanted to achieve here, it has been fulfilled in statement 2. So, first statement here becomes correct. The third statement extends the objectives of the statement 1 by embedding in them a future oriented innovation framework. Second is also right. As I told you, with completion of Sagarmala 1, now we are moving on to Sagarmala 2, which means making port operations digitized by use of modern day technologies. So, second automatically is correct. Now, third, statement 1 contradicts statement 3 by focusing only on traditional infrastructure instead of modern innovation. Is first entirely incorrect? Do you think it is incorrect? No. The first statement, it is leading to port-led economic growth, which means incorporation of some innovation, not no innovation. So this is an absolute statement. When you add absolute statement in this kind of a philosophy, it becomes incorrect. So the correct answer becomes 1 and 2, option B. Understand, everyone? Now let us move towards the third question in economy, that is question 87 of set A. Now you are, or you may have heard many models of e-commerce. The most common of them are marketplace model and inventory based model. In marketplace model of e-commerce, a e-commerce company would host a website where a seller would connect to a buyer. For example, sites like Swiggy, Zomato, sites like Amazon, sites like Flipkart. On the other hand, there is an inventory based model where the e-commerce company maintains the inventory of its goods and services in its own warehouses, and when you order those stuff will be delivered from the warehouses maintained by many e-commerce websites. The best example of inventory based model would be Nykaa, would be Big Basket, Blinkit, Zepto, etc. Swiggy, Instamart. Now, this question throws you a bouncer. They have added some model which you may or may not have heard directly. But let me guarantee you, some of you might have heard these terms. Are you aware of affiliate revenue model? Anyone? Are you aware of this affiliate revenue model? How many of you watch mobile review websites, unboxing websites on YouTube? On what you can say Instagram? So in those videos, that influencer would always tell you that if you want to buy the product, I have attached the link below in the description. You can click on that link and buy the goods and services. Do you know why those influencers add those links in the description box? Because once you click on that link and order it, they would get commission from the e-commerce websites. Those are called as affiliate links. So those influencers, they do not have any control on the prices. They are just asking you to click that link so that they can get commission. That is called as affiliate based revenue model. Similarly, there is a transaction fee revenue model. Have you heard of sites like Razorpay, PayPal, Paytm? When you make a payment on any e-commerce website, you are more likely to direct it to portals of these companies. These companies basically facilitate the transaction, and in line with facilitating the transaction, they are charging some commissions. This commission can be a fixed fee or it can be a percentage fee, right? So that is a transaction fee revenue model. What is agency revenue model? Agency revenue model are usually followed by online advertisers. Suppose, how many of you have heard of Google Ads or ads on Meta platforms like Insta, FB? Have you heard of them, ads? So when they are providing you with ads of your products, on sale of that product, these companies will charge commission. That is called as agency revenue model. Now, what is a drop shipping model? Drop shipping model is the model followed by many websites like Amazon, Flipkart, etc. These companies, they act as a front by offering you their online platforms. How many of you like pizzas? This is set A. How many of you like pizzas? I will give you an example of dropshipping model. Any of you like pizzas? Have you tried ordering Domino's pizza from either Swiggy or Zomato? Have you tried ordering Domino's from Swiggy and Zomato? When you order Domino's pizza from either Swiggy or Zomato, Swiggy or Zomato lists you the product, takes the payment. But where is that pizza coming from? From a Domino's restaurant. Who is delivering that pizza to you? Swiggy, Zomato guy? No. Domino's own delivery system. This model is called as a dropshipping model, where these companies, they do not hold the inventory of the products, nor they are responsible for delivery of the products. Everything is handled by the seller of the pizza, that is Domino's, and he or she is selling you the pizza. You are the customer. These platforms are only acting as a middleman, and this model is called as a dropshipping model, which is given in the question. An e-commerce revenue model where the seller has control over pricing. So the pricing is determined by Swiggy and Zomato, but they don't keep products in stock and instead transfer the orders and shipment details to a third party supplier, who then ships the goods directly to the customer. Who is the third party supplier here? Domino's. Understand? So I'm sure you all must have had pizzas by ordering it through Swiggy and Zomato. Heck, even I've done that. But did you know that this model is called as dropshipping model? So is it a question that have come out of thin air? No. Therefore, option A is the right answer here. Clear? Now, do you find economy interesting? Students? Now, next question, 88. Which one of the following correctly represents the three sub-indices of the Financial Inclusion Index of the Reserve Bank of India? How many of you have heard of this index? Now you can understand, from 2014 onwards, the government has introduced PM Jan Dhan Yojana. What is this Jan Dhan Yojana? Jan Dhan Yojana by Government of India wants to increase financial inclusion. How it wants to increase financial inclusion? By opening up of bank accounts, by providing you digital payment services through JAM Trinity, by offering you overdraft facility on that bank account. Overdraft means if you have zero balance, you can take some money else out of it. Domino's in that example is a third party. First party is a customer, second party is the platform. That is Swiggy, Zomato. Third party becomes Domino's. Yes. So all of these facilities, even insurance products like Pradhan Mantri Swasth Bima Yojana, Suraksha Yojana, life insurance, health insurance, etc. All of them are provided under the wider ambit of Jan Dhan Yojana. To understand whether this scheme has had an impact or not, the RBI formed a financial inclusion index. This financial inclusion index wants to gauge the financial inclusion in three different areas: access, usage, and quality. Access means how easily you can access financial products, like how near is the bank, how near is the ATM facilities, how good is the internet connection. Then comes usage. Okay, government has provided you a free or a zero balance bank account. Are you able to use that zero balance bank account? Are you depositing money? Are you utilizing overdraft facility? That is determined by usage. And quality. quality of financial inclusion means how well financially you are aware of the products, how well you are able to use these facilities by becoming completely aware of it. And RBI puts different weightage. 20% weightage is given to quality, 35% weightage is given to access, and for usage the highest weightage, that is 45% weightage has given. So access, usage and quality, option C is your right answer. Understand? Any doubt, students? Bal Vijay, Joydeep? Now next question, again related to e-commerce. How many of you use e-commerce? Well, I used e-commerce just to reach in this office today. It is more likely that after I am done with the class, I'll have my lunch by ordering something. Right? Now, have you heard about ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce? I'll tell you what ONDC is. Now, suppose this is a website, Amazon. Is there anything you want to buy from Amazon, students? Is there anything you want to order from Amazon? Most likely your favorite mobile phone, right? So suppose you are a customer here. When you place an order for that mobile phone is listed on Amazon. Amazon will use Amazon's delivery services to deliver this mobile phone to you. Similarly, to make that payment, it is more likely that you are going to use Amazon's payment system, Amazon Pay or Amazon's credit card. Yes? So what is happening here? You as a customer, if you have to order Amazon's mobile phone or phone listed on Amazon, you have no other choice but to make payment using the payment system that Amazon offers you, and the delivery, which they don't charge it but they add to the cost, will be done by Amazon only delivery. Do you have an ability to choose another payment system or another delivery provider here? No. So this is what are these e-commerce companies doing? They are trying to establish their dominance. Why do you think for most of the goods and services, we either rely on Amazon or Flipkart? Why don't we order it from some other sites? If I ask you to order a mobile phone from Meesho, would you order it? No. So what is happening here? If I am or you as an entrepreneur want to create a competitor of Amazon, you or I are most likely to fail because the entry barriers have increased. So now what the government is trying to do, it is trying to break the dominance of major e-commerce suppliers. So by setting up of ONDC, what the government has done, suppose you are a customer and you want to order, what is the latest iPhone, 17 or 18? I guess 17, right? Suppose you want to order iPhone 17. What do you want? You want to order iPhone 17. You don't care if Amazon delivers it to you, Flipkart delivers it to you, or some other third party like Chroma, Reliance Digital delivers it to you, right? All you want is iPhone 17. So you as a customer search on ONDC iPhone 17. They will list Amazon's price, they will list Flipkart price, they will list Chroma price, they will list Reliance Digital price, they will list Vijay Sale price. So you can buy it from Chroma using ONDC. Now, to deliver, the ONDC platform will find the cheapest delivery services. Regardless, it can be Amazon, it can be Flipkart, it can be Chroma's own delivery, it can be Reliance Digital or Vijay Sales delivery. So what you are getting here, you are getting the cheapest phone on a platform using the cheapest delivery system, and the payment system you can use UPI, your own credit card or payment system offered by these companies. So what is happening here? They are trying to break the dominance of large e-commerce platform by allowing interoperability. Interoperability means ordering from one website, using payment services of second website, and using delivery services of the third website, which is not possible if you use Amazon or Flipkart or the respective platforms offered by these platforms. Clear? So option C is your right answer. Any doubts here? Oh, good answer, Joydeep. Cooler. I should have given the example of a cooler or an AC. How many of you bought AC this year? ACs have become cheaper because of GST rationalization. Sadly, no question on GST rationalization this year. But now this, I'm sure all of you are using it. UPI. How many of you are using UPI? Any idea what is the difference between CBDC and UPI? Yes, all of this are from current affairs, but belonging to the syllabus of economy. Now let me tell you what CBDC is. CBDC or central bank digital currency is the digital variant of your currency, rupee. So these digital currencies are issued by RBI to public. Just like your notes, your banknotes are liability of whom? Banknotes are liability of whom? Banknotes are liability of RBI. So your digital currencies, e-rupee becomes what? Liability of RBI. Clear? Now, what is UPI? Suppose if Joydeep wants to transfer money to Anita, what Joydeep needs to do? Joydeep needs to scan Anita's QR code and the money will be sent from Joydeep's bank account to Anita's bank account. So suppose Joydeep is sending 100 rupees, so minus 100 will be entered into Joydeep's account and plus 100 will be entered into Anita's account. So here money is flowing through a pipeline. What is this pipeline? This pipeline is called as UPI. What is flowing here? Money. Money, it can be a physical money that you have deposited in the bank account. So when you deposit any money into the bank account, whose liability it becomes? Does it become a bank's liability or does it become RBI's liability? Suppose Joydeep किस बैंक में account है? Joydeep, let us suppose you have a bank account in SBI. So if you have deposited 100 rupees in your SBI bank account, whose liability it becomes? RBI's liability or SBI's liability? SBI's liability. Because when you go back to SBI, SBI will have to pay you 100 rupees. But if you have 100 rupees in cash, a 100 rupee note, that is the liability of RBI. So what is the difference here? The difference is in liability. Now UPI enables transfer of money from one bank account to another bank account. So money which you are transferring using UPI is a liability of a bank. But just like notes, digital rupee is a liability of whom? Digital rupee is a liability of RBI. Clear up till now? So in both cases, UPI and digital rupee, the liability lies with the users and respective banks. Is it correct? Is it correct? No. For UPI, the liability is with the bank, but whosoever you use to transfer digital rupee, the liability is of RBI. And this question is asking you, which one of the following is not correct? So you have to identify incorrect statement here. So digital rupee is akin to sovereign paper currency. So the value of e-rupee is equal to the value of your currency note. So suppose 100 e-rupees is equal to the value of 100 rupee note. So first statement right. In case of UPI, the settlement and end users happen instantly. Yes. But in case of digital rupee, there is no settlement as the wallet gets transferred from one account to another. So the one of the advantages of digital rupee is that no settlement is required. Why no settlement is required? Because suppose you have e-rupee and I have e-rupee, both of them are liability of RBI. Why do you need settlement to happen? Because if you have an account in SBI and if you want to transfer that money to an account in ICICI, the liability shifts from SBI to ICICI. Understand? Now UPI transactions are recorded by the banks and are reflected in the statements. Have you seen big statements coming of banks? Yes, this is due to RBI, due to the UPI. But in case of digital rupee, no data is captured in the bank statement as the transactions happen from one wallet to another. So who is recording those transactions? Not your bank, but RBI. So 1, 2 and 3 are right. Fourth one is incorrect. And this question wants you to identify incorrect. So the right answer is option D. Now, which one of the following statement are true about real world asset tokenization? What is tokenization, students? What are tokens? Now, suppose there is a building, right? This building is a commercial building. What do you think would be the price of this building if it is located in a metro city? Approximately 100 crore rupees. Let us suppose 100 crore rupees. Now, if you want to invest in this building, would you be able to invest in this building if it is 100 crore rupees worth? Will you be able to invest in this building? Suppose if the owner of this building wants to sell it to one person. Will you be able to sell this building? No. Why? Any person who has 100 crore rupees will only be able to buy it. How many people in India do you think have this ability to buy a 100 crore rupees building? Not anymore. So what about middle class people like you and I, or poor people like you and I? Don't you think we should have an option to invest money? We should. So what a company would do, it would break this building, not literally in digital terms or in paper terms. Break this building into 1000 units. How much would be 1000 units worth? It would be worth 10 lakhs each. So now anybody who has at least 10 lakhs will be able to invest in it. Why do you think? What is tokenization doing? Tokenization is making investment in high value commodities possible. Now replace this building with a painting. Replace this building with a national highway. Replace this building with an entire IT park. So if you have to invest in these buildings or these commodities individually, you require large amount of money. But what is tokenization doing? Tokenization is making investment in these commodities much more affordable. Understand what is tokenization? Deepdas? Any doubts on tokenization? Now there are multiple ways of making a token. You can make tokens digitally or you can make tokens on paper. Have you heard of blockchain technology? Have you heard of blockchain technology that is being used for cryptocurrencies? Have you heard of blockchain technology? Yes. So what is a blockchain technology? Suppose you make 10 tokens or 1000 tokens of a building. All of these tokens will be linked to a digital ledger. Now suppose person A buys this one token. Yes, so it will be registered in that ledger that person A has bought it. Tomorrow, if person A sells this token to person B, that also will be recorded here. So every transaction of a particular token will be recorded here. This is possible only when if the tokens are digital, which are made using blockchain technology. In economics, have you heard of INVITs and REITs, REITs? What are these? Or have you heard of mutual funds for that matter? What are mutual funds? These are on paper tokens. So real estate or infrastructure investment trusts, they invest in infrastructural assets like national highways. Now, can you and I fund a national highway construction on our own? No. We have what? Maximum 5 lakh, 10 lakh rupees. To construct a national highway, you require thousands of crores of rupees, if not lakhs of crores. So through infrastructure investment trust, people like you and I, we can invest lakhs of rupees each, and the government who is organizing or managing this infrastructure trust would get thousands of crores of rupees, not from one person, but from many person. So tokenization of real world assets offers 24/7 access and promotes financial inclusion. And it also allows access to high growth investment opportunities for individuals in India. So, in this regard, all the three options, option A, B, and C, or 1, 2, 3 statements are correct. Any doubts in this? Tokenization. What is tokenization? Here, tokenization can be both digital and on paper. Digital tokens are managed by blockchain technology. Paper tokens or real life tokens are infrastructure investment trust rates or even mutual funds. Clear? Now, a bond whose proceeds are used only to finance or refinance a combination of both environmental and social projects are called as what? Green bonds are those bonds where lending happens for constructions of environmental friendly projects. Social bonds are those bonds which are used to finance social projects like education based projects, health based projects, etc. Sovereign bond are bonds issued by governments like government security, US treasuries, right? Whereas sustainability bond means any bond which are used for both environmental friendly as well as social projects on a similar hand. So sustainability bond basically captures both green and social bond. So the correct answer for environmental and social project would be a sustainability bond. Rahul, you shouldn't do that. In reality, I will tell you, for me to analyze this question after half an hour or 1 hour, it's very easy. But when you go inside the exam, it is not just your knowledge that plays a very important role in you solving the question. It is your ability to apply your mind, your ability to apply whatever you have learned in the class. And that comes not just from knowledge, but from regular practice. So whenever you feel like you are not confident about this preparation, do not let it determine the fact that you skip the attempt. Now, are you aware of MSMEs? Micro, small and medium enterprises. Why are they so important for economy? Because they contribute 30% to our manufacturing output and they contribute 40% to our global trade, 45% to our global trade. Are you aware of the biggest problem these MSMEs face? Are you aware of the biggest problem these MSME face? It is cash crunch. Now suppose you have set up an MSMEs, XYZ company. XYZ company would deliver jeans products to a big company called as Levi's. How many of you have heard of Levi's? Suppose Levi's placed an order of 100 jeans to XYZ company. XYZ company would deliver 100 jeans. But do you think companies like Levi's make an immediate payment to XYZ company? No. They withhold the payment, saying that we will first analyze the quality of your jeans for a few months and then only we will make a payment. Now suppose you are a small company like XYZ. What problem you will face? You have delivered the product. To manufacture that product, you may have taken a loan from somewhere or you have invested your own money. But now your payment will come, but it will come after a few months. So what will you do in the matter of few months? How will you manage? How will you pay money to your workers? How will you ensure that your household expenses are taken care of? This is a problem. Or for that matter, if another company comes, Wrangler, and they want you to deliver 100 jeans, will you be able to deliver next 100 jeans without any money? No, right? So MSMEs here have an option. They can go to a special kind of an NBFC called as factoring companies. These factoring companies are special type of NBFCs who provide finances to MSMEs. So to get loans from these companies, what do you have to provide? You have to provide an invoice that Levi's must have given you. This invoice is basically a payment invoice which Levi's will say that, see, I have to give 1 lakh rupees payment for 100 jeans to XYZ. So I will make this payment not right now but after 2 months. So you go taking that invoice to a factoring company, and this factoring company will take that invoice and give you for that 1 lakh rupees invoice, say 90,000 rupees. Now using this 90,000 rupees, you will be able to fulfill next order or you will be able to settle the payments of your raw material. After 2 months, this factoring company will take the invoice and go to Levi's, and Levi's will pay to the factoring company 1 lakh rupees. From this 1 lakh rupees, let us suppose factoring company will deduct 5,000 rupees as commission and give you the rest 5,000 rupees. So how much money XYZ company is making here? 95,000 rupees. How much money factoring company is making here? 5,000 rupees. Why? They have offered you immediate payment for a payment which you would have otherwise gotten after 2 months. So yes, you lose out 5,000 rupees, but using that 95,000 rupees, you are able to fulfill your next order. So what are those companies? Factoring companies. Now, there are hundreds of factoring companies in India, but to access services of these factoring companies, there are 3 online platforms where you can go and auction your invoice. These are called as Receivables Exchange of India Limited, Invoice Mart, and third is Mind Online System. Mind Online System's official name is MX1 Exchange. So what is this MX1 Exchange? It is a platform where factoring companies come and small enterprises come to sell their invoices. Basically, it is their own Amazon. आशीष बता रहा हूं. So MSMEs, do they ask for collateral? They don't ask for collateral. What is collateral here? Basically the invoice itself. So they don't require MSMEs to give separate collateral. It facilitates discounting of invoice and bill of exchange for MSMEs. Yes. So this 90,000 rupees for a 1 lakh rupees invoice, what is they are paying is called as trade discounting. And do they function as credit rating agencies for MSME? No. Credit rating agencies are different agencies which assess credit ratings of companies. MX1 Exchange or any platforms, they do not act as credit rating agencies. So the only correct option here is option 2. Clear? Now, what is crowding out effect? This has consistently appeared in the newspaper. Now, suppose this is the money supply in the economy, right? And this is the government. What do you think about government's receipts and government's expenditure? Which is higher? Usually, they will confirm that invoice from the selling company also. Don't worry, Noman. That doesn't happen. An invoice number comes with GST and other numbers also, which you can identify. And the companies themselves will sell the invoice there itself. Now, usually for a government, expenditures are always higher than receipts. So, to balance this gap, the government undertakes borrowings. Where does government borrow money from? From the market. So, if government undertakes more borrowings from the market, what do you think would happen to money supply? Money supply reduces. When money supply reduces, the existing money from the market, will they be available for higher rate of interest or lower rate of interest? They will be available for higher rate of interest. So, if government undertakes more borrowing from the market, it leaves less money for the private sector to borrow funds. And when private sector will go to the market and borrow money, they will have to pay higher rate of interest. So, this crowding out effect means a situation where government borrowing leads to higher interest rate, which reduces or disincentivizes private investment. Option B is your right answer here. Understand? This is what is called as crowding out effect. Crowding out effect is directly in correlation with government's borrowing. More borrowing, more crowding out effect. It leaves less money for private sector to borrow. Now, for 96 question, where do you think this question was taken from? This question was taken from the unfortunate crashing of Air India flight in Ahmedabad, which led to death of many people. Right? Now, in that crash or any crash for that matter, the aircrafts are insured by the aircraft companies. So, that aircraft which crashed, all of that money will be recovered by Air India from the insurance companies. Now, there are different types of insurance that you do. For aircraft, you do insurance for the aircraft itself. If there is some damage to the aircraft, entire damage, some damage, the aircraft operating company gets money from the insurance. Similarly, for the passengers traveling in that aircraft, if they are injured during a landing, during that flight, or unfortunately if they die during the flight, the nominees or the loved ones of that person who has perished, they will also get insurance money. So, the first statement, aviation hull insurance, it covers damages to the physical aircraft, including damages to body, engine, onboard equipment. So, the first statement is right. Now, to deal with international civil aviation, there was a convention called as Montreal Convention, which India also subscribes to. So, this Montreal Convention says that in case of an aircraft accident or a crash, if somebody dies, the relatives of those persons do not have to establish the blame of the company. Even if those people die because of some natural disasters during a flight, even then the aircraft operating company, here Air India, is liable to pay compensation to the loved ones of the victims. That is what Montreal Convention says. So, airlines are strictly liable to pay compensation to the family or nominee of every deceased passengers without them requiring to establish the fault of the airline. So, if airline is at fault or not, or if the aircraft crashes and people die, then every of the dead people's relative would get compensation from the airline. So you must have realized Air India offered compensations to all the victims, which amounted to hundreds of crores rupees, right? This is because Montreal Convention asked them to do so. So both of these statements are right. And where do you think UPSC has picked up this question? Because of the Air India crash. Clear? So I'm sorry I have to discuss this question, but we have to solve this question. Now, how unfortunate might have been the circumstances for this question to come? Now, how many of you are aware of the fact that when people get sick, they ask money from other people for treatment online? Have you come across those posts on social media? During COVID, it was very viral that somebody is admitted in the hospital and they do not have money for the treatment. So they go to a website and they ask people to contribute whatever they can, 100 rupees, 10 rupees, 1000 rupees, whatever they want. Have you seen those posts? What are those called as? Those are called as crowdfunding. Crowdfunding means to fund anything, you are asking crowd or different people some amount of money, basically small amount of money. So crowdfunding is solicitation or gathering of funds from multiple investors through a web-based platform or a social networking site for a special project. It can be for a personal investment or it can be for a professional investment. Yes, Keto, very good example. Crowdfunding. Now SEBI has come up with a plan that small medium enterprises, if they go to a bank, they will have to furnish documents, they will have to deposit collateral to get loans from financial institutions, or they could even go to a crowdfunding platform and ask people to invest money in them at small amounts without having to prove their worthiness or to give collateral. So don't you think this is a very good option for a small and medium enterprise to gather funding? Yes. So they can bypass formal banking and get money from small investors using crowdfunding. So option 1 and 2 both correct. Yes, Quanta, very right. Anamika also correct. Joydeep. Moong Dal. Is your name Moong Dal? Sorry, I don't know your actual name. You are in third year, you should begin your preparation. But take 2028 course, Kaushik, right? Don't opt for 2027 course. Opt for 28 or 29 courses. Give yourself time. And very good, you want to become IPS officer. Our country needs many honest policemen. You all know committees are very important for UPSC exam. Yes or no? So let us cover these committees. The most common committee you may have heard of, Urjit Patel Committee. Have you heard of Urjit Patel Committee? Urjit Patel Committee was relating to monetary policy framework. So the Monetary Policy Committee of RBI as well as the Inflation Targeting Framework has originated because of Urjit Patel Committee. But this question says it prepares a roadmap for reforming bank lending to housing sector. So incorrect. So third, incorrect. Now let us look at fourth one. YH Malegam Committee. Have you heard of microfinance? What is microfinance? Small amount of loans, 5,000 rupees, 1,000 rupees loans that people take from financial institutions. Those are microfinance. Earlier, there was this problem with microfinance that when people used to take microfinance, they ended up paying a lot of interest rate. So there was what you can call misuse of this microfinance by many people. So to deal with or prepare a roadmap for regulation of microfinance in India, RBI constituted YH Malegam Committee. So this is the correct answer. Now LC Gupta Committee, preparing a roadmap for introduction of derivatives. Any idea what is a derivative? Yes, collateral free loans of small amount given to economically weaker section. It is the official definition of microfinance. Have you heard of futures, options, call option, put options? These are derivatives. To introduce them, the SEBI had constituted LC Gupta committee. Correct. Now, RN Malhotra committee is always in news due to insurance sector regulation in India. Yes, they wanted to undertake comprehensive reform in regulation sector, but were they set up by IRDAI? The answer is no. They were set up by Government of India, and based on recommendation of RN Malhotra committee, IRDAI was set up, not the other way around. IRDAI did not set it up. Government set it up, and based on the recommendation of Malhotra committee, IRDAI, a separate regulator for insurance sector, was set up. I will upload these answers on my Telegram channel. The Telegram channel is called as ATS Live. As soon as I am done with this, I will upload these answers for economy, okay? So, first incorrect, third incorrect, 2 and 4 is right. Option D is correct. Clear? Now, next one. What is an NBFC? This is probably the easiest question in economy. The difference between a bank and a non-bank or NBFC are three. First, in banks, you can open a time deposit account like a fixed deposit account, or a demand deposit account like a savings banks or current account. In a non-bank, there is no provision of demand deposits account. In some non-banks called as NBFCs, deposit taking NBFC, here you can open a time deposit account. So NBFCs cannot open demand deposits, correct. So this is the first difference between a bank and a non-bank. Second difference is banks are part of payment and settlement system, which means you can transfer money from one bank account to another bank account using online banking, using checks, using demand drafts. Clear? On the other hand, non-banks are not part of payment and settlement system, which means you can't transfer money from one NBFC account to another NBFC account, or from NBFC to banks, or vice versa. So, NBFCs do not form a part of payment and settlement system, and therefore they can't write checks. So, third statement becomes incorrect. Now, third difference between a bank and a non-bank is that in banks, your deposits are insured by Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation. Whereas similar, or this insurance is up to rupees 5 lakh rupees per person per bank. Similar facility of deposit insurance is not available for deposits in a non-banks. So, DICGC facility corporation is not available to the depositors of deposit taking NBFCs. This is correct. Now, what about second statement? What about second statement? Now, RBI follows what is called as a 50-50 rule. This 50-50 rule says that any company, if 50% of their assets are financial in nature and 50% of their income are from financial assets, only then they are required to register with RBI. Otherwise, they are required to register with their respective sector regulator. Clear? So, not all but only those NBFCs who qualify 50-50 rule are able to register with RBI. So, this is incorrect. So, what is correct? 1 and 4, option A. Clear? Now the last question, multidimensional poverty index. Multidimensional poverty index was first brought by UNDP, United Nations Development Program, which consists of 10 indicators. India's Niti Aayog modified this UNDP का MPI by adding 2 more indicators. This is banking, that is through bank accounts, and maternal health. So in Niti Aayog's MPI index, it consists of 12 indicators. So this is correct. And maternal and bank account are unique to Niti Aayog. These are not found in UNDP's MPI. So third statement incorrect. And the methodology used to calculate it is called as Elkayer-Foster methodology. Clear? So first and second is right, third is incorrect. Option A is your right answer. Clear? Now, how many of you have any doubts with respect to economy? How do you think this paper was? Easy with respect to economy, tough or moderate? So now I'll wind up for our today's discussion, but now with me here today is Bhavar sir and Sharath sir. They will take your discussions for Indian polity. So over to Bhavar sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. So how was your paper till now? We have discussed so many things when it comes to the starting of the all right. So the starting of the session, it was we have discussed about geography and environment. Then we have discussed the questions related to history, and now related to economics. Now we are moving towards the questions which were asked from polity and even from public administration. So this was the first time that you will see that there were the 3 questions that were there from public administration. And according to you, from which book are most questions asked? So there cannot be like a book when it comes to the UPSC preparation, and you cannot say that this is the book from which most of the questions were there. All right. So we'll be discussing now. We'll be talking about the polity as well as public administration that are there. And at the same time, let me tell you that I'm taking the public administration optional as well. And, you can enroll into the public administration optional batch as well along with me. And you can use the code that is, you can use the code BRS Live for that. All right, for the maximum discount. Let me open up the PPT for the polity questions that were there along with the public administration. All right, maybe next time you will find even the thinkers from the public administrations that will be asked in your prelims examination, and that makes public administration quite a useful subject for your preparation for prelims as well as for the mains as well. Now coming to the questions that were there, the rest of the questions Sharath sir will take when it comes to the public administration, polity. But I'll be taking just the 3 of them that were there in starting. Now the first one is, you can see that this is the question number 51, and this question number 51 is basically in the set A of the paper that was asked in today's prelims. It is Mr. X, a senior officer, was overseeing a critical vaccination program during a pandemic, and he found that a private service provider responsible for the vaccine distribution was compromising on quality to make profits. Despite immense pressure to manage the issue due to the vested interest, he raised his voice based on the principles of public administration, which he learnt during various training programs attending across his career. He reported the issue to the appropriate vigilance authority and halted the contract to ensure citizen welfare. Which one among the following principle of public administration was most strongly demonstrated by Mr. X's action? So of course this is all about the accountability. All right, it is the action which Mr. X portrayed was the accountability, and then the answer here will be C. It will be C, that will be the right answer. All right. Now coming to the next question that is there. Again, this is over here. It is about a multi ethnic district where both economic competition and the historical grievances frequently led to community tensions. A flashpoint has arisen with the government decision to allocate the land for the waste management facility near a tribal hamlet, sparking protest by the tribal community which claimed that the land was sacred and critical to their cultural identity. At the same time, urban residents and local industries supported the project, citing severe solid waste challenges and health concerns due to the lack of proper disposal site. The conflict has escalated with roadblocks as well as social media campaigns and allegations of police excesses. As a responsible government official, you are tasked with resolving the situation through mediation, ensuring a sustainable outcome that balances environmental needs, tribal rights, and urban public health. So over here, consider the following statements with reference to the above. First, a successful conflict resolution process must begin with acknowledging the cultural concerns of the protesting tribal community before discussing the technical alternative. So that is helpful. All right, that is helpful because we are talking about the multi-pronged theory or multi-pronged strategy. So yes, this is helpful. Alright, then comes the government should move ahead with the project without delay to address urban health concerns which outweigh the sentiments of a small group. So statement 2 over here is not helpful. Alright, it is not helpful because when it comes to the project, so without consultation, it would ignore the rights and also it would escalate the tensions which are there already, and that will lead to wider protests that will be there. Alright, so statement 2 is not helpful. Then creating a multi-stakeholder dialogue platform, including tribal leaders, environmental experts, and municipal representatives to build mutual understanding and help de-escalate tension. So again, this is again helpful. And then comes the conducting an independent environmental and social impact assessment, ESIA, and share the findings transparently with both sides to facilitate evidence-backed decision making. So statement 4 is also helpful over here. So we have only 3 of the statements, that is first, third and fourth, and that is why the answer here will be A. Alright, 1, 3 and 4 only. Alright, so that will be the right answer. It will be A. That will be the correct answer for this question. Now coming to the next question that we have, this is question number 53 in your set A, and this is over here where we have Mr. X is a mid-level civil service official working in the urban development department of a major city. Recently, she was involved in approving a contract for the public infrastructure project, a community park. During the approval process, she has received a piece of confidential information indicating that one of the shortlisted contractors had a history of poor workmanship and allegation of corruption in other cities, though nothing had been legally proven. Alright, the head of the department, Mr. Y, advised her not to disclose this information to the project committee or the public because it could delay the project and damage the city's reputation. However, Ms. X believed that withholding such information compromised transparency and public trust. So, what should, what could be the opinion, or what amongst the following should Mrs. X or Miss X she must do now? First one is immediately disclose the information to the project committee and the public. Now, when it comes to the first statement over here, this is an ethical conflict that we are talking about, and action 1 would be inappropriate. Alright, it goes against the civil services rules and also the ethical code of the conduct that is there. So again, over here, immediately disclosing the information to the project committee and the public is not what should Miss X she must do. Then second one is again over here, recommend removing the contractor from the shortlist to protect the project's integrity. That could be done. Alright, and then third statement is, it is about proposing a limited disclosure to an oversight committee while keeping the information confidential from the public for the time being. This could also be done. Alright, so these two things can be done, but again, immediately disclosing the information, that is not appropriate as per the civil services rule, and that is why 2 and 3 will be the correct answer. And for the rest one, I will ask Sharath sir to guide you through and ultimately to tell you about the answers to the polity questions, and also I'll be joining after Sharath sir so that we can discuss the current affairs, as well as along with the current affairs we can discuss the science and tech questions as well. So let me see you after a short break. Thank you.
So, as sir has told you, the Indian polity this time was a combination of polity and governance with public administration. So this time, even though these first three questions were slightly tricky and slightly complex in nature, but when we moved on to the pure polity questions, they were doable. Okay, and in such as the polity is relatively considered a topic that is doable in the entire general studies part, the remaining polity questions were again doable, but these three questions were relatively tricky. So now moving on to the Indian polity questions. Okay, the next question that came was, Mr. X was addressing a seminar on the meaning of the term law as provided under Article 13 Part 3 of the Constitution of India. X explained that the meaning of the term law in the Constitution of India was very comprehensive. It included ordinances, orders and even rules and regulations. Y pointed out that the term law in Article 13 also included customs or usage having in the territory of India the force of law, to which X was not convinced. Now, based on the above, select the correct conclusions from the options given below. So, option A, X is correct. So, if we just go through entirely what had been iterated by X as well as Y, X was addressing a seminar in which he told that the meaning of law under Article 13, Part 3 of the Constitution explained this term in a very comprehensively manner. Okay, but the statement that was showcased by X, okay, was not entirely correct. Okay, so this statement was not entirely correct. So in this situation, this whatever X has said, it was a statement in a restricted manner. Okay, so X position is partly correct. Now Y had supplemented to what X has already spoken. So in this situation, since X was not convinced with it, okay, the answer has to be option D. Clear? Option D is the correct answer here. Okay, so because this answer has been asked in comparison to what X and Y are discussing, so it is option D. Okay, so the view of only Y herein is correct. Clear? I hope this is clear to all. Okay, next, moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements with respect to the Constitution of India. There is no article in the Constitution of India that specifies that the Constitution of India will be officially called the Constitution of India. Okay. Second statement, there is no article in the Constitution of India that specifies that the Indian Independence Act 1947 and the Government of India Act 1935 stand repealed. Third, there is no article in the Constitution of India that mentions 26th January 1950 as the date of commencement of the Constitution. Okay. Now, just after looking at these options, okay, now first and foremost analyzing the first. Okay, for the first statement, if we consider Article 393 of the Constitution, okay, so Article 393 specifically, it reads short title. Okay, so the Constitution may be called the Constitution of India, so the article exists. Okay, so this statement first is incorrect. Okay, first is incorrect because Article 393 satisfies the same situation. Clear? Moving ahead on to the second statement, there is no article in the Constitution that specifies that the Indian Independence Act 1947 and the Government of India Act, okay, they are repealed. Now, in this situation, if you read the article for the statement 2, if you read Article 395, okay, it specifically reads repeals. Okay, so Indian Independence Act 1947 and the Government of India Act 1935, okay, together with all the enactments and the amendments or anything supplementing, they are repealed. Okay, so this second statement also stands incorrect. Okay. Third, there is no article in the Constitution of India that mentions 26th January 1950 as the date of commencement of the Constitution. Okay, so Article 394 talks about the commencement. Okay, so Article 394 here talks about the commencement. Thus, the correct answer is option B. Okay, there is no correct statement in this. Okay, so option B herein is the correct answer. Clear? Moving ahead, next. Which of the following statement with regard to person with disabilities in India is or are correct? The Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, an act passed by the Parliament in 2018, mandates reservation in education and employment, places a legal duty on governments to ensure accessibility and non-discrimination. Second, the Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan focuses on achieving universal accessibility for persons with disabilities across the three key domains: built infrastructure, transport systems and information communication technology. Third, the National Divyangjan Finance and Development Corporation (NDFDC) is a public sector organization set up by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs as a not-for-profit company to promote entrepreneurship among persons with disabilities. Okay. Now, in this question, the statements which were given, they were highly close. Okay. Very statements of very close nature. Usually the UPSC does not play with the numbers. Okay. But here in the UPSC had played with numbers. So this act, Person with Disabilities Act, was passed in year 2016. Okay, so this act essentially was passed in the year 2016 and not the year 2018. So this first statement is incorrect. Second, the Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan focuses on achieving universal accessibility for persons with disabilities across three domains: built infrastructure, transport systems and information and communication technology. This statement is correct. Okay. Now, the third statement, National Divyangjan Finance and Development Corporation, is a public sector organization set up by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now, this is the catch here. Okay. Now, this organization has not been set up by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So, wrong ministry has been given here and it is essentially by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Clear? So, when we find this, okay, the correct answer to this is option B, 2 only. Option B, 2 only is the correct answer here. Okay. Chaliye, next. Now, consider the following statements about the provisions pertaining to the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes in India. Okay. Now, this question is very straightforward, very direct. Okay. Provisions regarding the administration of tribal areas in the state of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram are given in the 5th schedule of the Constitution of India. Second, some tribes of India are entitled to exemption from paying income tax on certain incomes. Third, the Constitution of India provides for reservation of seats in panchayats for women belonging to scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. Okay. Now, going through the first statement, provisions regarding the administration of tribal areas in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram are given in the 5th schedule. So, this is not 5th schedule, this is 6th schedule. Clear? So, relatively a easier statement. Okay. So, the first statement stands incorrect. Now, second, some tribes of India are entitled to exemption from paying income tax on certain incomes. Clear? So, in this statement, they are not talking about overall exemption. Okay, they are talking about certain exemptions that have been given over certain incomes. Clear? Now, in this, the second statement is correct. Clear? So, some tribes are exempted and some incomes are exempted. So, this is again, this statement stands correct. Clear? Now, third statement, okay, if we talk about Article 243D, okay, so when we talk about Article 243 of the Constitution, it mandates that not less than 1/3 of the total number of seats should be reserved for women belonging to SCs and STs as the case may be. Clear? So, this statement is again correct. Okay. So, this statement is again correct. So, correct answer is there are 2 correct statements in this. Okay. There are 2 correct statements in this. So, the answer is option A. Next. Provisions regarding the administration of tribal areas in the state of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram are given in the 6th schedule of the Constitution of India. Okay. Now, going through the first statement, provisions regarding the administration of tribal areas in the state of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram are given in the 5th schedule. So, this is again very straightforward, very direct. Okay. So, the first statement, okay, if we talk about Article Consider the following statements in respect to questions asked by the members in the parliament. Okay. Now, in this, unstarred questions are those to which a member desires an oral answer in the house. Second, starred questions are those to which a member desires a written answer. Okay. Now, these two statements are inverted. Okay, these two statements are inverted. Why do we say inverted? Because it is the other way around. The starred and the unstarred questions. Okay, and herein we can see that the questions that are starred, they require oral answers. Okay, the one which are unstarred, they require answer in writing. So something like the factual information. Okay, so first two statements are incorrect. No supplementary questions can be asked on unstarred questions. Okay, so that is correct. Now, when a question has already got an answer in writing, okay, so when a question has an answer in writing, how a supplementary question can be asked? Clear? So, this statement, third statement is correct. Okay, so there is only one correct statement. Clear? So, answer herein is option C. Next, consider the following statements about the committees on the welfare of SCs and STs of the Parliament of India. Okay, so the committees of SCs and STs of the Parliament of India. Okay, so the first statement is, although members of these committees are elected from both houses of Parliament, the chairperson of this committee is appointed by the chairman of Rajya Sabha. Second, 20 members are elected by Rajya Sabha and 10 members by Lok Sabha. Third, no minister except for the Union Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment is eligible to be member of this committee. Fourth, members are elected for a fixed term of 2 years from the date they enter into their offices. Okay. Now, this is again a very comprehensively planned trap question. Okay. Now, first statement is, although members of this committee are elected from both the houses of Parliament, the chairperson of this committee is appointed by the chairman of Rajya Sabha. Okay. So, this statement is incorrect because the chairman is by Speaker of Lok Sabha. Clear? Speaker of Lok Sabha and not by the chairman of Rajya Sabha. Second, 20 members are elected by Rajya Sabha and 10 members by Lok Sabha. Okay. So, when we talk about the committees, okay, so either the committees have got equal representation from Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, or in majority, in all the committees, the majority of strength comes from the Lok Sabha. Okay. Just with the common logic also, by virtue of Lok Sabha having a higher strength, okay, Lok Sabha will always contribute in a higher number. So, 20 members are elected by Rajya Sabha and 10 by Lok Sabha. This is wrong. Okay, it is the other way around. 20 members from Lok Sabha and 10 from Rajya Sabha. Third, no minister except for the union minister. No, this is again incorrect. Okay, no minister shall be part of any committee. ठीक. Fourth, members are elected for a fixed term of 2 years from the date they enter into their office. So, this is again incorrect. So, every member, okay, all of these committees, these are permanent committees formed every year. So, a member has a tenure of 1 year and not 2 years. Clear? So, there is no correct statement. The correct answer is option D. Okay. Next, which of the following statements about zero FIR, okay, zero first information report under the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita 23 is or are correct? A zero FIR can be lodged at a police station even though the place of commission of a cognizable or non-cognizable offence is outside the territorial jurisdiction of that police station. Second, the officer in charge of the police station where a zero FIR has been lodged may, with the permission of competent authority, initiate a preliminary inquiry. Third, under zero FIR, it is obligatory for the informant to furnish information electronically. Okay, now, first statement, a zero FIR can be lodged at police station even though the place of commission of a cognizable or non-cognizable offence is outside the territory. So, this is Very correct. Okay, zero FIR means that crime might have taken place at some other location, okay, and the victim is filing complaint at a different location. Clear? Second, the officer in charge of the police station where a zero FIR has been lodged may, with the permission of competent authority, initiate a preliminary inquiry. Now, this statement is incorrect. Okay. Now, effectively, it has been mentioned that inquiry shall be conducted only by the competent authority under whose jurisdiction the crime has taken place, the offense has taken place. Clear? So, in this situation, always remember that this concept of zero FIR is receiving and then transferring the power. So, second statement is incorrect. Third, under zero FIR, it is obligatory for the informant to furnish information electronically. Now, this zero FIR concept is basically, it is an enabling provision, okay, that enables that individuals who are under a threat or under any condition can file complaint anywhere else. So, in such a situation, no obligations shall be made. Okay, so this third statement is also incorrect. Okay, so herein the correct answer is option C, one only. Okay, chaliye. Now the last. With reference to the organizations under the Government of India, consider the following details. How many of the above rows are given details are correctly matched? Okay, so herein the organization has been given. Okay, along with the organization, their function and their controlling union ministry has also been mentioned. Okay, so first is the Central Economic Intelligence Bureau, function to coordinate between various laws enforcement agencies. Okay, so controlling ministry has been mentioned, the essentially the Ministry of Home Affairs. So herein it is not Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, it is the Department of Revenue. Okay, so this comes under the Department of Revenue. Okay, and this Department of Revenue is under the Ministry of Finance. Okay. Second, Serious Fraud Investigation Office to investigate complex corporate frauds under the Ministry of Finance. Okay, so this is again incorrect. So this lies under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay. Third, the Central Bureau of Investigation to preserve value in public life and ensure the health of the national economy. Okay, so in this situation, you can also see the ministry that has been mentioned is Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pension. So this is correct. Clear? So the correct answer herein is option A. Only one of these options are correctly matched. Okay, so please do let me know in the comment section. How have you assessed the remaining Indian polity question? And as Bhavan sir had started, the polity was a mixture of polity and pub-ed. Okay, so now I'll be inviting Bhavan sir again to continue ahead with the remaining questions around the current affairs. Clear?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. So next we'll be talking about the current affairs, which is the very important part of the UPSC prelims, because when it comes to current affairs, we have seen the rising tendency of UPSC to mix and to use the current affairs for your prelims examination, and that is why they become very, very important. So I'll be going through the current affairs and we'll be seeing which all important questions were there from the current affairs section. Just let me pull out the PowerPoint or the presentation for you. All right, just give me a second. All right, so let's see which all questions were there from the current affairs in our today's prelims examination. All right. So let's see the first question that was there. Again, this question that the first question that we'll be discussing, it is basically we are discussing the set A of the examination that had been conducted, and the first question that was related to the current affairs, it was question number 24, and it says, in what ways does the Washington International Seaport represent a structural shift in India's maritime trade and logistics policy? The first statement over here is, just a second. All right. Okay. So over here, the first statement is, by functioning exclusively as a domestic cargo hub to reduce the reliance on the coastal shipping and eliminate the need of foreign collaboration. So over here, the first statement is incorrect, because when it comes to the Vizhinjam, so this is basically a transshipment port or transshipment container port that is for the international cargo and not for the domestic cargo. So this statement is incorrect. By focusing primarily on the passenger cruise tourism, again, this is, like I said, it is basically for the international transshipment cargo and not for the cruise tourism and heritage shipping. So both these statements are incorrect. And then, by leveraging its natural deep draft and strategic location to reduce dependence on the foreign transshipment ports, enhance revenue retention and reposition India in regional maritime trade. So over here we have the third of the statement that is correct, and the answer here will be D, that is 3 only. That will be the correct answer. Alright, now coming to the next question, that was from the current affairs. It is question number 30 in the set A, and it is about the Strait of Hormuz. And like I had predicted, ultimately the Strait of Hormuz, the question would had been there, and this had been in the news since February 28 of 2026, since when the Strait of Hormuz had been blockaded. Alright, earlier because of the West Asian crisis, and then later on because of the blockade by the US, and then later on by Iran. So over here it says that ships from which of the following countries has to cross or have to cross the Strait of Hormuz to reach out to the Indian Ocean. Now over here the countries are, we have Bahrain, Syria, Qatar and Egypt. Now if you'll see, when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz or when it comes to the Persian Gulf, so Bahrain along with Qatar, alright, these are the two countries that are there. Bahrain and Qatar, they lie, or they are there, and for any of the movement of the ships, they have to cross the Strait of Hormuz. Alright, when it comes to Syria, now Syria is basically, it is not located here, it is located, or it borders Mediterranean Sea. Alright, it borders the Mediterranean Sea. And when it comes to Egypt, so again Egypt is bordered by Mediterranean Sea as well as Red Sea. Alright, we have Mediterranean Sea and Red Sea as well. So over here it is that, select the answer using the code below. So we have 1 and 3, that is B will be the right answer. So right answer here will be B, that will be the correct one. Alright, now coming to the next question, this is question number 60 in your set A. Now the question number 60 is, consider the following statements about Mission Sudarshan Chakra of India. The first statement over here is that it aims to enhance India's air defense, ballistic missile defense and aerial offensive capabilities. Yes, that's true. Sudarshan Chakra is basically the defense system or the air defense system of India, and first statement is correct. Then comes this mission is being designed to enhance rapid, precise and powerful defense responses, reinforcing India's strategic autonomy. The second statement is also correct. Alright, the second statement is also correct, and one of the aims of this mission is to cover all public places of India by an expanded nationwide security shield by 2035. And the third statement is incorrect over here. Alright, the third statement is incorrect because over here this program protects the civilian infrastructure, like for example nuclear plants as well as major transport hub, but it does not cover the all public places, and that is why this statement is incorrect. We have 1 and 2, that is B, that will be the right answer here. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 61 in your set A. This is about the transboundary infrastructure and says, consider following statements about river bridges connecting India with the neighboring countries. And over here we have statement 1, that is the Maitri Setu built over Feni river connects Ramgarh in India with Sabroom in Bangladesh. Now Maitri bridge or Maitri Setu, it is a friendship bridge that is over the Feni river, that is correct, but it connects Sabroom in Tirupura. Alright, it is Sabroom in not Bangladesh but Tirupura that it connects, and it connects Sabroom with the Ramgarh that is there in Chittagong, or Ramgarh that is there in Bangladesh. So over here the countries had been switched in this particular statement. Now, the next statement is about Jhulaghat. Jhulaghat suspension bridge connects India with Myanmar. So, it connects India not with Myanmar, but it connects India with Nepal. Again, second statement is also incorrect. And then we have Mechi Bridge and its approaches connect Panitanki bypass in India with Kakarvita in Nepal. So, the third statement over here is correct. Alright, so again, when it comes to the answer, we have only one, that is 3 only, that is correct. And the answer here will be D, that will be the correct answer. Alright, now coming to the next important, the next question that was asked from the current affairs in your today's prelims. It is question number 64. Now, question number 64 is, which of the following international conventions have not been ratified by India? So, over here we have, when it comes to the conventions, we have Employment Policy Convention, Abolition of Forced Labour Convention, International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of all migrant workers and members of their families, Geneva Convention related to the protection of civilian persons in time of war, and conventions on reduction of statelessness. Now, just few days back, if you'll go and you'll browse in the video section, I have taken a complete session about the recent, ICJ verdict or International Court of Justice verdict that had been there. Now, over in that session, I have told you which all ILO conventions that India had signed. And if you had gone through that video, this question would have been, a piece of cake for you. Now, when it comes to, there are many international conventions, treaties for which India is participant. But when it comes to these conventions, so India has not ratified which all conventions. So, India had ratified the Employment Policy Convention. India have ratified the Abolition of Forced Labour Convention as well. But the rest of them, India has not ratified. Alright, India has not ratified the International Convention on Protection of Rights of all migrant workers and members of their families. Also not ratified the Geneva Convention related to the protection of civilian persons and Convention on the reduction of statelessness as well. So, it will be D, that will be the right answer. That is 3, 4 and 5. These are the conventions that India has not ratified. Now, coming to the next question that we have, it is consider the following statements with respect to AI Impact Summit 2026 held in New Delhi. Alright, over here it says the first statement is that the summit's intellectual framework was based on 3 foundational sutras: people, planning and progress. Now, over here statement 1 is incorrect because of the foundational theme that was there and also the framework. They were different. Alright, so again, first statement is incorrect. The second statement is the preamble of the summit stresses democratizing the AI resources, which acknowledges the Charter for Democratic Diffusion of AI as a binding framework to support locally relevant innovation and strengthen resilient AI ecosystem while respecting the national laws. This is also incorrect. Alright. Now, when it comes to the third question, that is the only correct statement over here. That is the New Delhi Declaration on the AI impact was structured around 7 chakras or 7 pillars, which included access of social empowerment, AI for science, and secure and trusted AI. So, thereby the answer here will be D, that is 3 only. Only the third statement is correct, but the rest 1 and 2, they are incorrect. Alright, now coming to the next question, that is question number 66. Over here, it is about which of the following connectivity projects are a part of cooperation between India and ASEAN member countries. So, when it comes to these, so we have Kaladan Multimodal Transport Project. Yes, that is a part of the connectivity between India and ASEAN, and we know about this because it connects the eastern ports with the Mizoram through Myanmar, and that is what Kaladan Multimodal Transit Project is all about. Then we have the IMT Trilateral Highway as well, that will connect India, Myanmar and Thailand. So, that is also about the connectivity. But when it comes to the third, Agartala and Akhora, this is between India and Bangladesh and not between India and ASEAN countries, and that is why the third is incorrect. So, what will be the right answer? The right answer will be 1 and 2. That will be the correct answer. Now, coming to the next question. So, next question is about match the following, and here this is about India's development assistance to the neighborhood. And over here we have the list 1, that is projects supported by India and the country that is there. And over here we have Margdarshan hydroelectric project, restoration of Store Palace, then district hospital at Dikhoya, and Institute of Security and Law Enforcement Studies. And when it comes to the countries, we have Maldives, Afghanistan, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka. So when it comes to the Margdarshan electric project, that is between that is located in Bhutan. All right. Then when it comes to restoration of Store Palace, this is in Afghanistan. All right. Then when it comes to district hospital at Dikhoya, so this is where it is in Sri Lanka. And then when it comes to the Institute of Security and Law Enforcement, this is in Maldives. So the right answer here will be 3241, and we have 3241B. That will be the correct answer for this question. All right, that will be the right answer. Then coming to the next question. The next question is about the transnational labor mobility platforms. And over here, the question is that consider the following statement about platforms for multilateral cooperation. The first one is that the Colombo process is a regional consultative process in which member states take binding decision by consensus. Now, this is incorrect. When it comes to the Colombo process, it is a regional consultative process which focuses on the management of the overseas employment for the migrant workers for Asian countries. All right, the Asian countries which are sending these people abroad. All right, so ultimately this is a voluntary as well as non-binding process, or the non-binding forum that is there. It is not binding. All right, so again over here there is no binding decision. All right, when it comes to the second statement, that is the Abu Dhabi dialogue is a voluntary, non-binding consultative process among Asian countries of labor origin and destination to facilitate regional cooperation on contractual labor mobility. So over here statement 2 is correct. Then we have the third statement, that is the Global Forum for Migration and Development, created upon the proposal of a former UN Secretary General, is a voluntary forum whose decisions are non-binding in nature. So statement 3, it is also correct. So we have 2 and 3 which are correct, and thereby the answer will be C. That will be the correct answer. All right. Now coming to the next question, that is from the current affairs. It is question number 70, and it is about the Nobel laureates. All right. So over here it has been asked that consider following UN organization agencies. We have World Food Program, then United Nations Children's Fund, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and International Labour Organization. So it had been asked how many of the above have been awarded the Nobel Prize twice. So we have over here, when it comes to the UNHCR, it had been awarded the Nobel Prize twice, and that is why we have only one and not the rest of them. All right. When it comes to UN World Food Program, it was awarded once, and it was in 2000. At the same time, UNICEF was also awarded once, and it was in 1985, I guess, and or 65. I have to just see. At the same time, there is International Labour Organization as well, that was awarded just once. So there are these of the institutions, they had been awarded with the Nobel Prize, but it was only once, and UNHCR had been awarded for twice. So over here the right answer will be A, that is one only. Then again we have the UN missions or the UN peacekeeping missions which are there, and you have to match them. We have the peacekeeping operations and the period of operation as well. So over here it is UN MIL. All right, so when it comes to UN MIL, it is basically the mission in Liberia, and when it comes to UN MIL, it was between, it was between the period that is 2003 to 2018. All right, so that was mission in Liberia that was there, and it will connect with 2003 to 2018 itself. All right, then when it comes to MINURCAT or MINURCAT, it is basically mission that was there in Central African Republic and even Chad. All right, and it will connect with the period that is 2007 to 2010 itself. Then we have MINUSTA. MINUSTA is basically the mission that was there in Haiti, and this will get connected to the period that is 2004 to 2017. All right, and then we have UN MISIT or MISIT, and it is basically in the East Timor that was there, and the period was between the 2002 to 2005. So over here the right answer will be 3, then 1, 4 and 2. 3142, that is the B. That will be the correct answer over here. Alright, now coming to the next question, this is also about match the following, and here it is about the institutional structuring of the BIMSTEC. Alright, we have the BIMSTEC center or the establishment and its location that is there. We have BIMSTEC Cultural Industries Observatory, Energy Center, Center for Weather and Climate, and Technology Transfer Facility as well. So here you can see that when it comes to the Cultural Industries Observatory, so it is located in Thimphu. Then when it comes to Energy Center, it is there in Bangalore. Alright, when it comes to the Center for the Weather and the Climate, it is in Noida. And then when it comes to the Technology Transfer Facility, that is located in Colombo. Alright, so over here we have the answer, that is we have 4, then we have 2, 1 and 3. So 4, 2, 1, 3, that is C. That will be the right answer. Alright, C will be the correct answer for question number 72. Let me tell you once again that we are discussing the set A that had been there. Now over here again we have some of the pairs which had been mentioned, and it is about the command headquarters, and it says which one of the following pairs is not correctly matched, and we have Indian Army Corps and the headquarters. So we have 3 corps that is stationed in Dimapur. Yes, that's true, and it is known by the name Spear. So it is Spear Corps and it is located in Dimapur. Then we have 3 corps, that is Gajraj Corps, and it is headquartered in Assam in Tezpur. Alright, so it is known by the name of Gajraj and it is there in Tezpur in Assam. Now when it comes to the 14 corps, it is Fire and Fury Corps and it is headquartered in Leh, Ladakh. But when it comes to the 33 corps, so 33 corps is Tri Shakti Corps and it is headquartered in Sukhna in West Bengal. Alright, when it comes to Srinagar, so in Srinagar there is 15 corps that is there. Alright, 15 corps is stationed over here. 15 corps is in Srinagar, which is Chinar Corps, and therefore the right answer that is not correctly matched is D, that is Srinagar and 33 corps. Now the next question that is there from the current affairs, it is about the decentralization and capacity building under the RGSA, and it says which of the following statement with respect to the revamped Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan are correct. The first one is the period of its implementation is from 1st April 2021 to 31st March 2026. So over here this is incorrect, because when it comes to the project, it was approved itself in 2022. So when it was approved in 2022, how could its time period, it could range from 2021 itself. So it is basically, it is from 1st April 2022 to the 31st March of 2026. So the starting is incorrect over here, and that is why first statement is incorrect. The second is the key objective of the revamped RGSA is to develop the governance capabilities of the Panchayati Raj institutions to deliver on the sustainable development goals. So the second statement over here is correct. That is true. Then the share of the central funding of the revamped RGSA is 60%. That is again, 100%, that is also incorrect. When it comes to the share, it is basically 60:40 for nearly all the states which are there, except from the states which are there in the northeastern region, and for them the ratio will be 90:10, and for the union territories it is 100%. So when it comes to the union territories, yes, it is 100%, but for the states the share of the funding is different. Alright, so again over here when it comes to the third statement, it is incorrect. So we have second only, that is the correct statement that you will find in this particular question. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 75 that we have on our screen from the set A of today's prelims. It is about which of the following countries are members of the European Union. Alright, and when it comes to European Union, it is structure or the institution that is there for the European countries which are there. And here when it comes to the countries which are member of the Union, it is only the Poland and Germany that is there. Alright, Belarus is not member, and even Switzerland is also not member of the European Union. Alright, so when it comes to the Switzerland, it maintains the economic relationship with the Belarus, but right now it is not part of the European Union. So right answer here will be 2 and 3. That will be the correct answer. Now the next question is question number 76 in your set A, and it is about Interpol and its alert notices which are there, and you have to match list 1 with list 2, and ultimately over here we can see that when it comes to a silver notice, so silver notice is basically about to identify and trace criminal assets. So that is what a silver notice is. Alright, then comes the blue notice. So blue notice is to collect the additional information about a person's identity, location or activities in relation to a criminal investigation. Then comes the black notice. The black notice is basically to seek the information on unidentified bodies. And then comes the green notice. It is to provide the warning about a person's criminal activities where the person is considered to be possible threat to the public safety. So these are the different notices which are issued by the Interpol. So over here the right answer will be 4, then 2, then we have 1 and 3. 4, 2, 1, 3, that is C. That will be the correct answer of this question. Now coming to the next question that we have, it is question number 77, and it is about the Nirantar platform. It says, which of the following statement in relation to the Nirantar or National Institute for the Research and Application of Natural Resources to Transform, Adapt and Build Resilience, a platform of institutions under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, is correct? The first statement over here is Ecosystem Survey and Analysis is a vertical under this platform, the lead institute of which is Botanical Survey of India in Kolkata. Yes, that is true. That is the correct statement. Then the research and management of ecosystem services are vertical under this platform, the lead institute of which is a Central Zoo Authority in New Delhi. That is incorrect. Both the statements, they cannot be true. So this statement is incorrect. And then comes that the capacity development support is a vertical under this platform, the lead institute of which is the Indian Institute of the Forest Management, Bhopal. So this is also true. Alright, so we have 1 and 3, that is true. When it comes to research and management of the ecosystem, so this vertical is coordinated by the Wildlife Institute of India, that is WII, or the Forest Research Institute of India. Alright, so FRI. So that is why second statement is incorrect, but the first and third statement are true. So right now over here the answer for 77, it will be B, that will be 1 and 3 only. Alright, coming to the next question, that is question number 78. It is about the bilateral agreements and the outcomes of the high level meets, and it says that the Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany visited India in January 2026. Which of the following is R? Please remember, is R not correct in terms of the outcomes of this visit. Alright, so over here it is the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the All India Institute of Ayurveda and the University of Hamburg. So over here, this is true that there was the MOU that was signed between, we have the Institute of Ayurveda and the University of Hamburg. So that is true. Then signing of a memorandum of understanding on youth hockey development between Hockey India and German Hockey Federation. Not true. Then it comes the establishment of bilateral dialogue mechanism on the Indo-Pacific. That is also not true. Then when it comes to the fourth one, it is opening an honorary consul for Germany in Lucknow. That is true. So we have 1 and 4, that is B. That will be the right answer for question number 78 that was there in your set A. Alright, next comes the question number 81. Now when it comes to 81, it is about X, who had been born in UK, was conferred the Nobel Prize in 2025. He was a professor in the American University when this prize was announced. Identify X. So the X is John Clark that we are talking about. It is about the squid magnetometers that he was given the Nobel Prize. Alright, so right answer will be John Clark, or C will be the correct answer. Now the next question is about the Grand Slams. Alright, and it is which of the following statement with regard to the Grand Slam tennis tournament is correct. Alright, and over here when it comes to this particular question, alright, it is about the tournaments have a shared governance structure establishing the partnership among the 4 Grand Slam tournaments. Alright, now when it comes to this, when it comes to the first statement, there is no shared governance structure that is there. Alright, the Grand Slams, they are basically governed by their individual structures. There is no shared structure that is there for the governance, and that is why first statement is incorrect. They have an they are open for entry to all internationally ranked tennis player above the age of 14. That is true. And then there is a limitation on the number of the wild cards a player may receive to compete in a Grand Slam tournament. That is also true. So over here we have only 2 and 3. That is correct, but the first statement is incorrect, and that is why the answer to this question will be B. That will be the correct answer. Alright. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 83, and it is about semiconductor plants that are there. And it says, which of the following pairs of the semiconductor plants in India and their location is not correctly matched? So it had been asked which had been not correctly matched. And here we have CG Power and Industrial Solution Private Limited in partnership with the Renaissance Electronics and Stars Microelectronics in Gujarat. True. Alright, then comes Tata Semiconductor Assembly and Test Private Limited in Assam. That is also true. Then comes the HCL Foxconn Joint Venture India Chip Limited in Madhya Pradesh. It is incorrect. And 6M Private Limited in Odisha is also true. Now when it comes to the Tata Assembly, it is basically in Assam. Alright, the Tata Assembly is Assam. That had been in news, and that is why we have the different this question that had been asked. When it comes to the HCL joint venture, it is basically it will be in it is planned in Uttar Pradesh, not in Madhya Pradesh, and that is why the answer will be C. Alright, the answer over here will be C. That is not correctly matched because it will be Uttar Pradesh where this plant is there. Alright, now coming to the next question, it is question number 84, and it is about the Bharat forecast system. We have discussed this also in our sessions. Alright, now over here it is which of the following statement with regard to India's indigenous new high resolution weather model, the Bharat forecast system, is correct. So I was discussing this Bharat forecast system when we were doing the Hindu analysis. Alright, in the Hindu analysis, I have discussed this Bharat forecast system with you just just a few days back, if you'll browse through those videos. So now over here, the statements are, we have, its objective is to generate forecast at the Panchayat cluster level. That is true. Alright, at the same time, it was developed by IIT Delhi. It's not true because it is by the IITM that is located in Pune that have developed this Bharat forecast system. So therefore, second is incorrect, but first is correct. Answer will be A. That is 1 only. Alright, now coming to the next question that we have. I'm sorry that this is in Hindi, but let me tell you that what this question was all about. It is about the movie Boong. And ultimately there are certain questions. The first one is that recently this film has bagged the BAFTA award. Alright, it has bagged the BAFTA award that had been provided to it, or it had been awarded the BAFTA award. The second one is that the direction was by Lakshmi Priya Devi. So the director of this film was Lakshmi Priya Devi. And then we have the third statement that was that the this film had won the BAFTA award, and it is the first Indian film to get this award in the child and family film category. So over here, when it comes to these statements, alright, when it comes to these statements, you will find that there are all these statements are true regarding to the film Boong, and that is why all of them will be correct. Basically, it represents the major success when it comes to the regional Indian cinema, and this is there where we have the Manipuri cinema that had been recognized on the platform or on the international regime. Now coming to the next question that we have, it is the question number 95, and this is basically about the geopolitics and the scarcity, and we have which of the following statements about rare earth elements they are and the critical minerals are correct. Alright, now we have over here modern technology innovations including artificial intelligence, robotics and space exploration extensively utilize rare earth element. That is true. Alright, second is China has the highest share in mining of REs, followed by India. So it is incorrect. We know that China leads globally, but at the same time, India is not the second. Alright, and ultimately we are dependent upon the various countries for the rare earth elements, and thereby it is incorrect. Alright, this statement is incorrect. Then we have the government of India launched the National Critical Mineral Mission NCMM in 2025 to establish a robust framework for self-reliance in the critical mineral sector. That is again very important. It is true. And rare earth elements are a set of 13 metallic elements. That is again incorrect. So we have only first and third that are true, and the answer here will be A. That will be the correct answer. So these are the questions that were asked from your current affairs, which were there in our today's prelims examination. Now let's move to the science and tech questions as well. Just let me pull up the presentation, and then we'll be discussing the science and tech questions as well. Just give me a second. All right. So we have the PowerPoint presentation for the science and tech as well. And that will be the end of the session, and ultimately when it comes to the complete things, just give me a second. All right. So let's see which all questions were there related to your science and technology in our today's prelims examination. The first question is here on your screen, and it is question number 41, and it says, which of the following statement with regard to genetic medicine are correct? All right. So over here we have the statements that are there, and the first statement is genetic medicines correct or compensate for the faulty genes responsible for the disease. So of course that is true. All right, that is what genetic medicine is. So this is true. Then we have engineered viruses and lipid nanoparticles are used as carriers of the genetic medicine. So this is also correct. Then the third is genetic medicines alter the entire DNA sequence. No, it does not alter the entire DNA sequence. And third is incorrect. So we have only 1 and 2 which are correct. And the answer here for this question, the question number 41, it will be C. All right. So that is the right answer. 1 and 2, only 2 statements are correct here. Now the next question is about machine learning architecture and the LLM probabilities, and it is over here, which of the following statements with regard to large language models used in machine learning are correct? Now large language models are the models on which the AI it functions, or the models on which AI depends. Alright, so over here it says the first statement is that the LLMs assign probabilities to the next possible words and then pick the one with the highest probability, and that is true. Alright, that is how the LLMs they work. Then the second one is LLM process the data through mathematical optimization to minimize the prediction errors. The second statement is also correct. Now this third statement is LLMs produce unbiased outputs. Now this is incorrect, because when it comes to the LLMs, they can hallucinate as well. And that is why the third statement is incorrect over here. We have 1 and 2, that is B. That will be the right answer for this particular question that is there. Now coming to the next question, that is about the electromagnetic signature reduction. So it is which of the following statements with regard to the stealth technology are correct? Now we want to develop the stealth technology for the for the airplanes and for the next MCA, that is the new generation, the 6th generation fighter aircraft that India wants to build. So again, this is important over here. When it comes to the statement, it is stealth objects have a very small radar cross section and are coated with radar absorbing minerals, and that is right. That is true. Then comes the next question. The statement is stealth objects can be detected using specific frequency. That is also right. Then stealth objects are coated with materials to increase the scattering of the electromagnetic radiation. That is incorrect, because if the electromagnetic radiation will scatter or it will increase, then these stealth objects, they will be captured by the radar itself, and that is why third statement is incorrect. 1 and 2 are right, and the answer will be C. That is 1 and 2 only. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 44 in our set A. Alright, over here we have which of the following statement with regard to black boxes used in modern aircrafts are correct? Now we have statement 1, that is they carry a beacon emitting red light pulses to facilitate underwater detection. That is incorrect. Alright, that is incorrect. Although they have underwater locator beacon which is there, they are equipped with it, but when they are submerged in the water, the beacon it emits the automatic acoustic or the ultraviolet pulses which are emitted from it, and it is not about that beacon that is there, or it does not emit the red light when it is underwater. It is the acoustic, or you can say it is the ultrasonic the beeps which are emitted by the black box. All right. Now, when it comes to the second statement, it is they record both the cockpit voice and the flight data. That is true. Their memory units are made up of using either stainless steel or titanium. That is also true. So we have 2 and 3 that are the correct, but the first one is incorrect statement regarding the black box that are there. All right. Now coming to the next question that is there, question number 45. It is which of the following statements with regard to green hydrogen are correct? So the statement 1 over here is that it is decarbonized hydrogen obtained from the natural gas reforming combined with the carbon capture and storage is incorrect. The first statement is incorrect because when it comes to the decarbonized hydrogen, it is produced from the natural gas reforming combined with the carbon capture and storage, and it is classified as the blue hydrogen. All right, then it is classified as blue hydrogen and not as the green hydrogen that is there. All right, then it is produced using electrolysis of water with electricity generated by the renewable energy. So this statement is correct. Then we have the third statement that is that National Green Hydrogen Mission of India aims for abatement of nearly 50 metric million tons of annual greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. This is also right. So we have second and the third statement which are right over here. That is the answer to this question is B. That will be the right answer. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 46 from the Science and Technology. It is consider following statements with regard to involvement of private entities in India's space program. Now over here, the first statement is Indian Space National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, that is InSpace, is an autonomous agency formed to facilitate participation of private entities. True. All right. Now, when it comes to the statement 2, that is Agnikul Cosmos launched the world's first flight using the 3D printed rocket engine. That is also true. And when it comes to the statement 3, that is Skyroot Aerospace has developed liquid fuel for GSLV. This is incorrect. All right, so we have 1 and 2 that are the right statement. And when it comes to the private aerospace firm, that is Skyroot, it has developed the Vikram series of the solid and liquid propellant, small satellite launch vehicles which had been developed by the Skyroot Aerospace, but it has not developed the the liquid fuel for the GSLV. All right. Now coming to the next question related to the science and technology, it is about the drone swarms. All right, and it says that which of the following statement with regard to drone swarms are correct? Now the first one is that they use terahertz band of frequency to communicate with the command center. So basically they communicate with their command centers using the standard frequencies which are there, the standard radio frequencies and not the terahertz band, and that is why first statement is incorrect. Second one is individual drones in the swarm can communicate with the other drones in the swarm. So this is correct. There is the individual drones, they can communicate with the other drones which are there. Then the third statement that is there, that is GPS spoofing is a commonly used technique to counter the drone swarm attack. Again, this is also true. So we have second and third, that is the right answer. That is B will be the correct answer for this question. Now coming to the next question that we have, it is question number 48 and it is about National Genomics and the Genome India project. And it says over here, which of the following statements with regard to Genome India project are correct? The first statement is that it is a part of Human Genome Project. No, it is not part of Human Genome Project, but it is basically part of the National Genomics. All right. Then the second statement is it is funded by the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. True. All right. The primary aim is to build the catalogue of genetic diversity of the Indian population. This is also true. So answer is 2 and 3 again. That is B will be the correct answer here. All right, next comes the question number 49 and it is about the National Quantum Mission that is there. And we have the statements that is it aims to develop or at developing intermediate scale quantum computers with 52,000 physical qubits. So the first statement is correct. And the second statement is its implementation includes setting up of 4 thematic hubs or IT hubs in academic and national R&D institute across India. That is also true. And we have both 1 and 2. That will be the right answer for the question number 49 in your set A. This will differ in different sets which will be there. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 50 in your set A. It is which of the following statements with regard to India's deep ocean mission are correct? And we have, it was launched by the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India. So first statement is incorrect, obviously, because when it comes to this, it is the project of Ministry of Earth Sciences. It is the project of Ministry of Earth Sciences and not the Ministry of Ports and Shipping. Now the second statement that is here is correct. That is the Matsya 6000 has been designed to carry 3 people to the deep sea exploration. And also when it comes to the third statement, that is also true. That is the Samudrayan is the project that is there under this mission. So we have again 2 and 3 that are correct. And the answer here will be B, that is 2 and 3. Now coming to the next question that we have, it is question number 68. All right. Just a second, give me a sec. This is question number 68 that we are talking about right now. Just a second. Alright. So over here it is which of the following items of defense hardware are manufactured in India. Alright. That is again, this question pertains to Atmanirbhar Bharat or Atmanirbharta. And over here we have Sukhoi 30 Mark 1 fighter jets, yes. Then when it comes to the T-90 Mark 3 tanks, yes. But Akula class submarine, they are not built or manufactured in India. So we have only 1 and 2, which will be the correct answer that will be here. Alright. Now coming to the next question that we have is question number 79. Which of the following statements about Dhruvas are correct? Alright, question number 79. The first one is, it is the third chip fabricated under the DIRV program with an overall aim to enable the creation of microprocessors for India. Right? Alright. Basically, these are the supercomputers that we are talking about. And then it is that it is the India's first homegrown 1 gigawatts and 64-bit dual-core microprocessor. That is also right. Alright, so both the statements are right over here about Dhruvas or the Dhruv supercomputers, and both 1 and 2 will be the right answer. Alright, it will be both 1 and 2. Now coming to the next question that is there related to the science and tech. It is question number 80 in your set A. Now this is about the Bureau of Indian Standards or BIS recently introduced a national standard to test and assess bomb disposal system. Which of the following statement with regard to this system are correct? Now the first statement over here is, that is the new standard is known as IAS 19445 2005. This is 2025. This is correct. Alright, this is the new standard that BIS has recently introduced. Then it will improve interoperability of equipment across agencies. That is also true. Now, it has been developed by TBRL DRDO in collaboration with 30th CSRI or the Central Scientific Research Institute, Russia. So, this statement is incorrect. Or this statement is incorrect because when it comes to the development, so the development had been done by DRDO, and it had been because the Ministry of the Home Affairs, it had raised a request to the DRDO. Now, it is the indigenous program that had been built. So therefore, it is not with the collaboration but indigenous project, and that is why the right answer will be 1 and 2. That is C will be the correct answer for this particular question. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 86 that we have over here. Now the 86 is the question is about the blockchain technology and the features. Alright, and it says the first statement is, records stored in the database may be made visible to the relevant stakeholders without the risk of altercation. So statement 1 is right about the blockchain technology that is there, which is used for the cryptocurrency. Alright, at the same time, just a second. Alright. Now, at the same time, the first statement over here is correct. Alright, now coming to the next statement, that is copies of the entire database are stored on multiple computers on a network syncing within seconds. So, this statement is also true about the blockchain technology. Now, the third one is over here, when it comes to the third statement, you can see that the consortium blockchain is a blend of the public and private blockchains allowing selective data centers. Now over here, third statement is actually correct as well. Alright, Yes, let me come to the answer. Now, when it comes to the third statement is also true that the consortium blockchain is a blend of public and private blockchains allowing selective data access. And then we have the fourth, mathematical algorithms make it impossible to change or delete any data once recorded or accepted. So the fourth statement is also true. Now, this is about the feature of the blockchain technology. All right. Features, please remember over here about the technology or blockchain technology, and we do not have any option which marks 1, 2, 3 and 4. All right. None of the option over here suggests that all the statements are true. Though all the statements are true, and over here when you will realize this, that when it comes to the third statement, it is about not the technology. It is not about the technology but about the access, and ultimately we will have the answer. That is the most correct answer that will be here is 1, 2 and 4, that is C will be the right answer. C will be the correct answer. So these are all the questions that we have discussed today. Now, when it comes to your probability or the the questions or the cutoff prediction that could be there. So when it comes to the journal candidates, so the cutoff, it could range between 90 to 105. All right, the cutoff may be between the 90 to 105 range that will be there, and for the OBCs there will be obviously the range will be download, or it will be downgraded. All right, so that would be all in today's session. Thank you very much guys for joining us for the complete detailed analysis of your UPSC Prelims examination. Thank you very much, Anita and others as well who have joined us for the complete analysis. And ultimately now is the start. Now is the start for your preparation for your mains if you are into the bracket of the cutoff. All right, if you are there in the bracket of the cutoff, as well as let's see what will happen when it comes to the answer key that will be uploaded by the UPSC, by when it will be uploaded, and then again will be there and will be telling you about which all questions and if there is any mismatch of the questions. So ultimately what you can do and how you can represent to the UPSC for the change of the right answers that are there. So that would be all. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Jai Hind. I'll see you again on the same platform. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, do subscribe. And if you are looking for the help for the mentorship as well as for the courses, so you can join the StudyIQ platform, and ultimately you can use the code BRS Live or the code that is displayed at the bottom of the screen, and that through this code or the BRS Live you can gain the maximum discount on the platform. So that would be all. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Jai Hind. Thank you very much for being with us, for being with the StudyIQ team. Thank you.